Then his body flashed, and he charged towards the heavenly netherbird like a shooting star. Very quickly, he arrived beside the heavenly netherbird and stretched out his terrifying palm once again. Damn it! Get lost! The heavenly netherbird's pupils shrank as it flapped its wings. Its body started to spin rapidly like a black gale. Its wings were simply too sharp. As it spun, countless cracks appeared in the space around it. One could imagine that even a one-star king would be sliced in half if they were hit by the wings. However, such terrifying flames didn't have any effect on Lin Zhan. Lin Zhan's huge palm grabbed the heavenly netherbird and slammed it downwards. Pung! The heavenly netherbird's huge body crashed into the ground once again, causing the ground to crack. Ah! I'm going to kill you! The heavenly netherbird was furious. It had never been beaten up like this before. However, in the next moment, it was welcomed by a huge foot. Lin Zhan's body was like a huge mountain as he descended rapidly. At the same time, his foot stomped on the heavenly netherbird. Roar! Tian was especially furious. He waved the 9 underworld demonic sword and slashed it forward. The 9 underworld demonic sword shone with a black light. As it was waved, it emitted a terrifying sound. Whoosh! Lin Zhan's body moved horizontally in the air and dodged the sword. Then he kicked out his foot and landed on the sword. Instantly, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The huge black demonic sword started to vibrate rapidly, and the space around it started to crack. However, although the 9 underworld demonic sword was kicked away, there weren't any cracks on it. No one knew what material this demonic sword was made of, but its toughness exceeded everyone's expectations. Damn it! This 9 underworld demonic sword can't be a perfect Earth-grade artifact, right? Even the dark red divine dragon's eyelids were twitching. As for the other kings, including Lin Xian, they were extremely shocked. That was because they realized that Lin Zhan was simply too powerful. He was practically beating the heavenly netherbird. Just what cultivation level has father reached? A clone is actually able to suppress the heavenly netherbird. Lin Xian was too shocked. He realized that although he knew some things, he still couldn't see it clearly. His father seemed to be endlessly mysterious, and he couldn't see through him at all. In front of them, golden light flashed. A terrifying power shook the void. Sword chi rampaged and boundless black flames spread. Everyone was shocked. At this moment, it wasn't just Lin Xian's group of 7. Even the other cultivators on the Martial Sky continent were extremely shocked. Originally, they had already given up hope. That was because Lin Xian's group of 7, including thousands of peerless supremacies, were completely unable to defeat the heavenly netherbird. In fact, such a huge group was only left with Lin Xian's group of 7 in the end. They thought that Lin Xian's group wouldn't be able to stop it. Then the Martial Sky continent would be plunged into a massacre. None of them would be able to escape. However, at this moment of despair, another figure appeared out of nowhere. Even now, he was beating the heavenly netherbird. This made them extremely excited. Boom! 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 Shocking collisions rang out. Lin Zhan and the heavenly netherbird were fighting fiercely. However, the situation was completely one-sided. The heavenly netherbird was completely suppressed this time. It couldn't resist at all. Instead, it was injured multiple times, and many of its bones were even broken. Chapter 1496. Luckily, the 9 underworld demonic sword was mysterious and had an extraordinary origin. Otherwise, it would have been shattered into countless pieces by this power. After sending the heaven netherbird flying with another punch, Lin Zhan let out a long roar as his body emitted a brilliant light. Rays of golden light shone down and swept across the entire sky. Not good, his clone's time is up. Seeing this, the dark red divine dragon exclaimed. His clone's time is up. Lin Xian and the others were also in the same situation. Although they had suppressed the heaven netherbird, they had not obtained complete victory. If Lin Zhan's clone disappeared at this moment, they would not be able to fight back. Lin Zhan's body emitted light. He also knew that his clone's time was up, so he prepared to use his strongest attack to kill the heaven netherbird. His aura quickly rose, and he was like a golden god of war, releasing a terrifying power. That aura seemed to be able to pierce through the entire sky. In the end, His body was completely covered by the golden light. The golden light was tens of thousands of feet long, and it was like countless golden swords trembling together. Kill! With a roar, Lin Zhan turned into a ray of golden light and charged towards the heaven netherbird. This attack was too powerful, and it carried an incomparable killing intent. Even the heaven netherbird's hair stood on end. It felt a chill in its heart as it knew that this was an extremely terrifying killing move. Therefore it did not hesitate. With a roar, the black flame domain around him churned, and a huge black shield formed in front of it. 9 underworld demonic sky shield. Endless black flames surrounded it, forming a black ghost head that blocked in front of it like a shield. This was the heaven netherbird's ultimate move, and it could block all attacks. After using the 9 underworld demonic sky shield, the heaven netherbird coldly snorted. Humph! No matter how strong you are, you can't break through my shield. He was indeed confident because this shield had saved his life many times in the past. Boom! However, in the next moment his expression changed drastically. That was because when the golden light collided with the 9 underworld demonic sky shield, there was an earth-shattering sound. The entire space quickly cracked, and the surrounding mountains collapsed. There was an extremely strong earthquake in the surrounding 10,000 miles. The collision was too terrifying, as if it was the end of the world. However, what shocked the heaven netherbird even more was that cracks had appeared on the 9 underworld demonic sky shield in front of it. It was like a spider web that instantly covered the entire shield. What? Cracked? This is impossible! The heavenly netherbird shrieked. This time, there was a trace of fear in its eyes. This was because it realized that its opponent's power. The heaven netherbird. Boom! In the next moment, the pitch-black 9 underworld's demonic sky shield in front of him exploded into countless black fragments. A beam of golden light flew through the countless fragments at high speed, fiercely bombarding his head. What? Impossible! The heavenly netherbird let out a frantic cry and flapped its wings in an attempt to retreat. However, this golden light was simply too fast. It directly struck the heavenly netherbird's head. Boom! Another earth-shattering sound rang out. Then, the ferocious head of the heaven netherbird suddenly exploded, turning into blood that scattered in all directions. As for the golden light, it carried Lin Zhan's clone and quickly dimmed. In the end it disappeared. In the air, there was only a mist of blood and a huge headless corpse. The surroundings fell into silence. Looking at this scene, everyone was stunned. They didn't think that the heavenly netherbird would be killed. At this moment, not only Lin Xian and the other 6, but the entire Tianwu continent was shocked. What? It was killed. It was a fatal blow. Heavens, am I dreaming? Ancestor Murong, Happy King and Ancestor Shen could not believe it. The martial artists in the Tianwu continent cheered after they recovered from their shock. We're saved. Haha, we're saved. The heaven netherbird is dead? That's great. We don't have to be in danger. The palace master of the Palace of Gods killed the heaven netherbird. The entire Tianwu continent cheered. The king clans, rank 6 sects and other forces all heaved a sigh of relief. The heaven netherbird was dead. The Tianwu continent's crisis was resolved. They were all safe. We won. We really won. In the Murong family, a smile appeared on Murong Qingcheng's beautiful face again. That's great. Brother Lin Xian is fine. In the Shen family, Shen Jingqiu waved her fists. The palace master succeeded. In the Palace of Gods, the 9th elder and the others cheered. At this moment, the entire Tianwu continent was in an uproar. Countless martial artists cheered. Everyone felt as if they had survived a calamity. On the other side, Lin Xian and the other 6 heaved a sigh of relief. It was too dangerous. I have never encountered such a dangerous situation in my life. Ancestor Murong sighed. That's right. The heaven netherbird was too terrifying. I have never seen it before. The Ancestor Shen exclaimed. The Happy King was shocked. What level is Lin Zhan at now? It's just a clone, but it's already so terrifying. Thinking of this, the king's hearts beat wildly. As for Ruffian Dragon, he shouted, You scared me to death. It feels good to be alive. Lin Xian smiled. Let's go. The war is over. We can finally go home. Headmaster Xian chuckled and said. The group turned around and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded from behind them. A bunch of ants. Do you really think you can kill me like this? Hearing this voice, Lin Xian and the other 6 froze. All the martial artists in the Tianwu continent were stunned. Everyone felt as if a pair of invisible hands were choking their necks. Their cries stopped abruptly. What? Why am I hearing the Heaven Netherbird's voice again? Impossible. It must be an illusion. The Heaven Netherbird's head has already been destroyed. How can it still be alive? All the martial artists in the Tianwu continent were discussing. Impossible. This is definitely impossible. Even if it's a king, it's impossible for it to survive after its head has been destroyed. Lin Xian and the others turned around and stared at the headless corpse in the sky. Damn it. This is impossible. The Heaven Netherbird can't be alive. The ancestor Shun gritted his teeth. A king is also a human, not a god. Without its head, it's impossible for it to come back to life. The Happy King's voice was cold. Ancestor Murong's face was gloomy. Damn it. The Heaven Netherbird is already dead. Why is its corpse still floating in the sky? What? Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They had been too excited and had forgotten about it. However, it seemed that the Heaven Netherbird's body was still floating in the sky and had not fallen to the ground. Strange. This was too strange. Even if a king died, it would definitely fall to the ground like a normal person. Chapter 1497. Could it be that he's still alive? Dean Xian's voice was trembling. Thinking of this, everyone's scalps went numb, and their hearts dropped. Impossible, this is impossible. Lin Xian clenched his fists. Damn it, what is this uneasy feeling? At this moment, everyone was shocked as they stared at the heavenly serene bird. At this moment, the cold voice rang out again. Hee hee, a bunch of ignorant ants. Do you really think that I'm that easy to kill? Hearing this voice, everyone's eyes widened and their scalps went numb. They looked forward and their bodies began to tremble. Everyone was stunned. The heavenly serene bird was already dead. How could it still speak? However, this cold voice clearly belonged to the heavenly serene bird, and it even came from the corpse in front of them. Damn it, who is it? Acting all mysterious, get the hell out here. The Shen family's patriarch shouted angrily. Ignorant humans. I can't kill you. In front of them, the cold voice rang out again. Following that, the heavenly serene bird's corpse started to change. The originally cold body started to burn with black flames once again. What? The heavenly serene bird is still alive. Seeing this, Lin Xian and the others felt their scalps go numb. All the martial artists in the Tianwu continent were stunned. Not dead. How can it not be dead? Its head is already smashed. How can it still be alive? This had already exceeded everyone's understanding. On the other hand, the heavenly serene bird's corpse was flashing with light. At its neck, a ferocious head appeared and was quickly forming. Not good, stop it. The dark red divine dragon gritted his teeth and roared. Then, he turned into a ray of red light and rushed forward. Kill. Lin Xian also rushed forward with the killing sword in his hand. Behind him, the Shen family ancestor, Morong ancestor and the other kings also attacked with all their strength. Boom! 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 Terrifying power surged out and quickly killed the heavenly serene bird. However, their attacks were all blocked. In front of the heavenly serene bird, a black light screen was formed, and it was shining brightly. 9 Underworld's Devil Sky Shield. The demonic shield that was shattered by Lin Xian formed once again and blocked all the attacks from Lin Xian and the others. However, the crowd was still unwilling to give up. They continued to attack crazily, but they were unable to break through the 9 Underworld's Devil Sky Shield. Behind the demonic shield, the heavenly netherbird's head had already formed. Then a cold light flashed in its huge eyes. A roar resounded in all directions. Damnable ants! You actually dared to injure me. I won't let any of you off. The heavenly netherbird's mournful voice sounded again, as its cold eyes swept across Lin Xian and the others. Damn it, how did he come back to life? Lin Xian's eyes were cold as he gripped the great dragon sword soul tightly. It's his heart. At this moment, the 10,000 beast cauldron in Lin Xian's body suddenly sent a voice transmission. Heart? What heart? Do you know? Lin Xian asked quickly. The heavenly netherbird's fatal weakness is its heart. As long as its heart is still alive, it can revive again. It's useless to smash its head, Zero said coldly. Obviously, as the 10,000 beast cauldron, he knew everything about the heavenly netherbird. It was his heart. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. They had been too careless. They had thought that the heavenly netherbird was the same as a normal person. However, it was too late now. His father's clone had already disappeared. Kid, what should we do? The dark red dragon asked from the side. Lin Xian took a deep breath as his eyes flashed. Although he has recovered, his strength is definitely below average. I'm afraid he's only a mid-2-star king. But even if he's a mid-2-star king, we can't beat him. The dark red dragon frowned. Whatever, we can only fight to the death. Lin Xian gritted his teeth as he waved his hand and took out the 10,000 beast cauldron. Ruffian dragon, take them and retreat safely. Don't participate in the battle, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. If I die, take them and leave. What did you say? Kid, don't do anything stupid. The dark red dragon immediately became anxious when he heard this. When the people of the Tianwu continent heard this, they were also in an uproar. This was because they realized that Lin Xian actually wanted to fight alone. This was too shocking. Lin Xian. In the Morong family, Morong Qingcheng's heart was beating wildly. Her face was extremely grave. In the Shen family, Shen Jingqiu also shouted, Brother Lin Xian, don't. In the Palace of Gods of War, the 9th Elder and the others were also anxious. They wanted to rush over immediately. However, Lin Xian's gaze was firm and unwavering. All right, I understand. Seeing Lin Xian's expression, the dark red dragon nodded. He knew that with Lin Xian's character, once he had decided on something, he would not change his mind. Therefore, his body flashed as he brought Ancestor Murong and the others back to a safe place to watch the battle. Can he do it alone? Ancestor Murong was extremely shocked. That's right, we'll just fight together. We're not afraid of death. Ancestor Shen gritted his teeth. Fight with him. We can't let Lin Xian take the risk alone. Dean Xian's eyes flickered. The dark red dragon sighed. Forget it, that brat should have his own plans. Let's just watch. In front, the heavenly netherbird saw that the dark red dragon and the others had retreated, and only Lin Xian was left. It immediately revealed a disdainful smile. What? Do you think that you can deal with me alone? The heavenly netherbird sneered. Although I've used up a lot of yuan qi, against an ant like you, one slap is enough. Don't be so proud. I already know your fatal weakness. Lin Xian's voice was cold with a trace of killing intent. Fatal weakness? What do you know? The heavenly netherbird raised its head and laughed. I don't have a fatal weakness, you can't kill me. Your fatal weakness is your heart. Lin Xian shouted coldly, and quickly rushed out. What? Hearing Lin Xian's words, the heavenly netherbird smile disappeared and its face became extremely ugly. Damn it! Damn it! His opponent knew his fatal weakness. Impossible. How did he know? The heavenly netherbird was shocked. Very few people knew about this weakness, not even old Taoist Song Song. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to just seal it and not kill it. Yes, that's right. It had no weaknesses. Even if it was killed or its head exploded, it would still be able to recover. Its only fatal weakness was its heart. If it lost its heart, it would not be able to revive. This brat in front of it knew about such a secret. It was extremely shocking. But soon after it sneered. So what if you know? You don't have the strength to break through my defense. Don't even think about killing me. The heavenly netherbird sneered in disdain. Its terrifying beast claws clashed with Lin Xian's longsword. Then, an earth-shattering sound rang out and Lin Xian retreated rapidly. Chapter 1498. Although Lin Xian was pushed back, his lips curled into a smile. As expected, your strength has weakened a lot. If the heavenly Netherbird was still a late 2-star king, he would not be able to do anything. But now, it seemed that she was only a mid 2-star king, or even worse. With such strength, if he went all out, he might be able to kill her. In the next moment, Lin Xian raised the great dragon sword soul, and slowly cut a wound on her palm. With my blood, ignite the dragon soul. Great dragon sword soul, wake up! Lin Xian roared angrily. Endless blood flowed from his palm, and dripped onto the surrounding dragon sword domain. Instantly, the entire dragon sword realm was dyed red with blood, and started to tremble. A deep and loud dragon roar resounded in all directions. This roar was filled with shocking power, as if it could tear apart the 9 heavens and shatter the earth. Lin Xian's aura also increased in an instant. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand flashed rapidly, as if it had turned into a huge dragon. The 1,000 Beast cauldron above his head shone brightly as it spun rapidly. On top of it, all sorts of birds and beasts swam around, flashing with a strange light. Kill! Lin Xian was like a god of death. His battle-strength soared again. Then, he became one with his sword and charged towards the heavenly Netherbird like a ferocious beast. Lin Xian was too strong at this moment. He used his blood to ignite the dragon soul, allowing him to possess powerful strength. Kid, you're courting death. The heavenly Netherbird was furious. She had just recovered her life force, and was attacked like this. How could she not be angry? The moment he saw Lin Xian rushing over, he roared out in rage. The black flames on her body surged and turned into a huge mountain, smashing forward. Lin Xian activated the 1,000 Beast cauldron above his head, and quickly counterattacked. The 1,000 Beast cauldron was a true Earth-class artifact, and was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian was not worried about it breaking at all. Therefore, he directly swung the 1,000 Beast cauldron to meet the black demonic mountain head-on. Clang! With a deafening roar, Lin Xian quickly arrived in front of the heavenly Netherbird. At this moment, the entire dragon sword domain was still dyed red by his blood. The dragon sword soul had awakened, and it was as if a true dragon was wandering around. As the sword slashed out, countless dragon shadows surrounded it, accompanied by an extremely powerful force. On the other side, the heavenly Netherbird's expression changed. She quickly summoned the 9 underworld devil sky shield, and blocked in front of her. However, he was still sent flying by the enormous force. What? So powerful? Everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. They didn't expect Lin Xian to explode with such terrifying power. On the other hand, the dark red divine dragon frowned, because it knew that Lin Xian was exchanging his blood for energy. How much blood could he lose? He was sure that this energy could not last for too long. Lin Xian naturally knew this as well, so he didn't stop after his attack succeeded. His body turned into an afterimage, as he quickly chased after them. Not only that, but the dragon-shaped sword in his hand was also waving non-stop. One sword energy after another turned into true dragons that quickly circled in the sky and attacked the heavenly Netherbird. Lin Xian's target was obvious, the heart. He didn't attack sky, nor did he attack anywhere else. Instead, he focused on the sky Netherbird's heart. She knew that as long as she pierced the heaven serene bird's heart, it would die and never revive. The heavenly Netherbird was enraged. It waved its terrifying 9-hell demonic sword and quickly counterattacked. Dang 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 dang. Countless sword cheese intersected in the air, bursting forth with extremely resplendent light. A large amount of energy light rained down in all directions. These energies were too terrifying, and a casual attack could pierce through a 1-star king realm expert. However, Lin Xian became more and more courageous as he fought. His entire body was enveloped by a blood-red light. Streaks of terrifying dragon-shaped sword chi slashed out in all directions. Not only that, but the 1,000 Beast cauldron above Lin Xian's head was also emitting a jet-black light. Ancient demonic beasts flew out from the 1,000 Beast cauldron one after another. It was as if they wanted to destroy the entire world. This was a true Earth-grade artifact. Lin Xian had directly ignited his bloodline power and forcefully activated it, displaying its terrifying might. Finally, the nine-held demonic sky shield in front of the heavenly netherbird shattered once again, turning into countless black fragments that scattered in all directions. A demonic shadow and a dragon-shaped sword chi viciously slashed at the heavenly netherbird's body. Instantly, its enormous body was torn apart. Countless cracks spread out, and even its bones could be seen. Especially that dragon-shaped sword chi. It was too terrifying. It had almost pierced its heart. Ah, damn it. I'll kill you. The heavenly netherbird was completely enraged. It realized that its opponent was too strong. That energy made it feel an incomparable sense of danger. Therefore, it didn't care about anything else. It hurriedly waved its nine-held demonic sword and pointed it at the sky. Instantly, an incomparable black hole appeared above it. It flickered with a dark light. Last time, when the heavenly netherbird used the nine-held demonic sword, this black hole had appeared. It didn't expect it to appear again. This black hole was too mysterious. It was as if it was connected to another world. It was incomparably dark, and emitted an aura that made one's heart tremble. Even though Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, he still felt a chill down his spine. From the black vortex above, endless black gas quickly poured out and poured into the demonic sword. Suddenly, an incomparably terrifying power erupted. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. He knew that the heavenly netherbird was about to use its ultimate skill again. However, he wouldn't give it the chance. In the next moment, he burned all of his spiritual energy and blood chi. His entire body emitted an endless red light. A dragon's shadow circled around his body. His entire body seemed to have merged with the great dragon sword soul. He turned into a giant dragon and quickly flew forward. Kill! Roar! An earth-shattering roar sounded. Then, a red light quickly cut through the void and killed the heavenly netherbird. Die! The heavenly netherbird was shocked. He didn't expect his opponent to be able to erupt with such power in an instant. This power was still enough to kill him. However, he hadn't completed his ultimate skill. The demonic chi on the nine-held demonic sword was increasing, but it hadn't reached its peak. But now he couldn't care less about this. He could only use the power he had accumulated to quickly counterattack. The nine-held demonic sword was incomparably black. It flickered with a cold light and carried an incomparable power as it quickly slashed down. Lin Xian turned into a ferocious giant dragon and quickly swooped down in the air. In the next moment, the two collided. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Then a ball of bright light exploded in the air. Terrifying energy spread out in all directions. This attack was too terrifying. The entire sky was completely enveloped by the energy and fell into nothingness. Retreat! Quickly retreat! The dark red divine dragon, the happy king, and the others' faces changed drastically. They frantically retreated because the wave of energy was already rushing towards them. The energy was terrifying. They didn't dare to resist it at all. They could only brace themselves and run away. Chapter 1499. On the Sky Martial Continent, everyone looked up at the sky. The light screen in the sky was also filled with boundless light, making it impossible for them to see what was going on. Everyone could only wait nervously. Ah, ah, ah. However, at the center of the energy, an extremely miserable cry could be heard. It was the heavenly serene bird's cry. It was as if it had suffered an extremely terrifying impact. and its entire body became incomparably miserable. Eventually, the cry became weaker and weaker, and it even turned into fear. Damn it! Impossible! I don't believe it. How can you have such a powerful strength? Damn it! Just a little bit more, just a little bit more, and I would have been able to communicate with the underworld. Then, I would have definitely been able to kill you. After this cry, the heavenly serene bird's voice completely disappeared. In the sky, the resplendent light was also rapidly fading. However, the dark red dragon and the others still did not dare to move forward, because there was still an endless amount of energy remaining. The remnant energy was extremely terrifying, and it could easily tear apart Void Fragmentation Realm experts and kill King Realm experts. All they could do was wait. They could only move forward after the remnant energy had completely disappeared. Of course, they were praying in their hearts that Lin Xian was safe and sound. The dark red dragon and the other King Realm experts looked forward and waited anxiously. On the Sky Martial continent, all the cultivators raised their heads and looked at the sky, silently waiting. They wanted to know whether the heavenly serene bird was dead or not. Was Lin Xian in danger? However, the terrifying energy storm in front of them had yet to dissipate, and the black vortex in the sky was becoming bigger and bigger. Finally, it enveloped the entire space. In an instant, the space in front of them became pitch black, and not even light could penetrate it. Damn it, what is that thing? The dark red dragon's face was gloomy. He did not expect such a thing to happen at the most crucial moment. The others were also shocked. Even the Shun family's ancestor sent out his soul power to check it out. However, when his soul power got close to it, it was almost sucked in. The Shun family's ancestor was so frightened that he quickly withdrew his soul power. The other King Realm experts did not dare to try again. Hey kid, are you alright? Finally, the dark red dragon could not wait any longer and could only shout loudly. This was the most helpless method. However, a reply actually came from the black space. Ruffian dragon, I'm fine. The heavenly serene bird has already been killed by me. The Martial Sky continent is safe. Lin Xian's voice rang out. Hearing this, everyone's heart skipped a beat, and they were all overjoyed. What did you say? Was the heavenly nether bird dead? Is that true? Everyone was extremely excited. It's true. I've already pierced his heart. It's impossible for him to come back to life. Having received confirmation, the dark red divine dragon and the others were all overjoyed. At this moment, it wasn't just them. Everyone on the Martial Heaven continent learned of this news. Immediately, waves of cheers arose and shook the 9 heavens. They couldn't help it. They were too excited. This kind of feeling of having no descendants left was something they would probably only experience a few times in their lifetime. We're saved. We're finally saved. Great. It was Lin Xian. It was Lin Xian who saved us. At this moment, all the martial artists on the Martial Heaven continent were looking up at the sky, shouting Lin Xian's name with all their might. At this moment, Lin Xian had become the savior of the Martial Heaven continent. He had become the hero in their hearts. The loud and clear voices were like the waves of the sea. Each wave was louder than the previous one, and it directly dispersed the clouds in the sky. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon and the others were also extremely excited, especially Ancestor Murong, Ancestor Shun. They all heaved a sigh of relief. Great, the danger has been resolved. However, after waiting for a long time, they still didn't see Lin Xian come out. Thus the dark red divine dragon asked anxiously, Brat, what are you doing? Hurry up and come out. Yes, could it be that your injuries are too serious? Can't you walk? Din Xian asked with concern. Inside, Lin Xian laughed bitterly. I'm afraid I can't get out now. There seems to be a strange space here that has enveloped me. But don't worry, I don't feel any threat at the moment. Wait for me to recover my strength, then I'll go out. Brat, are you sure there's no danger? The dark red divine dragon was still worried. That thing seemed to be summoned by the heavenly nether bird. Indeed, there was no danger. Lin Xian carefully checked his surroundings. He discovered that although his surroundings were pitch black, he couldn't see anything. However, there was no danger, and it didn't pose any threat to him. Thus he quickly said, Ruffian Long, you guys go back first. I'm fine here. The Tianwu continent still needs you guys to take care of the situation. Hurry up and go back. All right then. Everyone sighed. They could only do this. As long as Lin Xian was fine, they could relax. Ruffian Long, you should also go back to the War God Palace. Once I'm done here, I'll immediately go back. All right, be careful. The dark red divine dragon nodded. Afterward, the 6 kings turned into rays of light and left. On the Tianwu continent, the black light that the heavenly netherbird had condensed also slowly disappeared. However, although the black light had disappeared, the people on the Tianwu continent were still in a jubilant mood. They were too excited. Right now, everyone on the Tianwu continent was talking about this battle. Everyone was talking about Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian hadn't left yet. He was still in that pitch-black space. Previously, he had burned all of his blood and spiritual energy and fused it with the great dragon sword soul to quickly attack the heavenly netherbird. Finally, he had pierced the heavenly netherbird's heart and successfully killed it. However, the pitch-black vortex that the heavenly netherbird had summoned hadn't disappeared. Instead, it had enveloped the entire space. That was why it had become like this. However, although the surrounding atmosphere was gloomy and there was no light, Lin Xian didn't feel any discomfort. Thus, he could only recover his strength first before thinking of a solution. Previously, it had been too dangerous. He had almost died in this battle. This was because burning one's blood was extremely dangerous. Once the blood was burned dry, the cultivator would probably die. Lin Xian had no choice but to do this. Fortunately, he had the longevity art. At the last moment, the longevity art had displayed an extremely powerful recovery ability. This had saved his life. Right now, although he was in danger, his life was no longer in danger. After spending more than 10 days, Lin Xian had recovered about 70 to 80% of his strength. Then, he stood up and prepared to explore this pitch-black space. He still remembered the heavenly netherbird's last words. What did it say about almost opening the underworld and obtaining power? This made him extremely puzzled. Could this pitch-black space be called the underworld? Lin Xian couldn't understand. Now that the heavenly netherbird was dead, he had no one to ask. He could only explore on his own. However, it was too dark, and he couldn't see clearly. Furthermore, he tried using his spiritual energy, but it was useless. For safety's sake, he instantly donned the cosmic armor and quickly walked around. Chapter 1500. It's so sharp. Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he felt a chill coming from the cosmic armor. Fortunately, he was careful and activated the armor in advance. Otherwise, he might have been injured. This is... Lin Xian looked carefully, and finally found what it was. The reason for that was because his palm was already holding on to that item. It was the 9 Darkness demonic sword. It was the weapon used by the heavenly netherbird, and it was sent flying at the last moment. He didn't expect it to fall here. The 9 Darkness demonic sword left a deep impression on him, because it was too terrifying. It was extremely powerful, and it was made of a special material that couldn't be broken. He guessed that it was an Earth-rank artifact. Now he had the 1,000 Beast Cauldron. However, the 1,000 Beast Cauldron was good at refining pills and controlling monsters. Although it was very powerful in battle, he wasn't used to it. He still preferred to use a sword. The Lone Star Sword was only a half Earth-rank artifact. Although it had an Earth-rank fragment, it was still too weak for him. Now, the heavenly netherbird had died, and left behind the 9 Darkness demonic sword. This demonic sword was very powerful and suitable for him to use. That was because he had never seen a sword that was more powerful than this one. Although I don't know where the heavenly netherbird got it, from now on, you're mine. Lin Xian grabbed the 9 Darkness demonic sword and tried to pull it up from the ground. However, in the next moment there was a change. The 9 Darkness demonic sword quickly trembled and released a terrifying aura. It stabbed towards Lin Xian's hand, wanting to kill him. The black sword chi quickly condensed and enveloped Lin Xian. It was obvious that the 9 Darkness demonic sword was resisting. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Countless bright sword rays appeared in his hand and quickly bombarded the black sword chi. At the same time, the dragon sword soul in his body surged and quickly suppressed the 9 Darkness demonic sword. Even the heavenly netherbird was killed. What could a demonic sword do? Lin Xian snorted coldly as his eyes burst with a bright light. At this moment, he used all his strength to suppress the 9 darkness demonic sword. However, he didn't expect that this suppression would last for an entire day and night. The 9 hell demon sword was simply too terrifying. It possessed a heaven-reaching demonic qi, and seemed to have an inexplicable connection with this pitch-black space, so its resistance was abnormally fierce. If Lin Xian hadn't grasped the great dragon sword soul, he probably wouldn't have been able to control it. However, no matter how strong he was, it was useless. One day later, Lin Xian completely suppressed the 9 nether devil sword. After that, the great dragon sword spirit in Lin Xian's body surged out and poured into the 9 underworld demonic sword, erasing all the marks left behind by the heavenly netherbird. Wung! 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 The 9 underworld demon sword trembled again, but it soon calmed down. The great dragon sword spirit roared and returned to Lin Xian's body, while Lin Xian once again grasped the 9 nether devil sword. This time, the 9 underworld demon sword did not resist. In fact, it even trembled in excitement. Lin Xian also felt that he had become one with the black demonic sword in front of him. It was even to the extent that he felt that the 9 underworld demon sword had already become a part of his body. With a light wave, the 9 underworld demon sword easily sliced open a black tear in space. What a terrifying demonic sword! Lin Xian was surprised. He noticed that the grade of this demonic sword was absolutely not low. It was at least an earth-ranked treasured artifact. Otherwise, it was impossible for it to be so powerful. Finally, I have a weapon that suits me. Lin Xian smiled with satisfaction. He stabbed the 9 underworld demon sword into the ground once more, and then he sat down cross-legged. After entering the king realm, the Lone Star sword could no longer satisfy him, and the 9 underworld demon sword just happened to make up for it. It was even to the extent that when he grasped the 9 underworld demon sword, he felt a mysterious energy pour into his body from the entire black space. In the beginning, he was shocked, but when he sensed it carefully, he noticed that it was pure spirit energy that was extremely helpful to his cultivation. He was overjoyed once more. Although he didn't know what this black space was, Lin Xian knew that it was definitely related to the 9 underworld demon sword. Now that he had subdued the 9 underworld demon sword, he could probably absorb the energy within this black space. He wouldn't waste such a huge amount of energy. If he could absorb it, his cultivation would definitely increase once more. At the same time, he also thought of using this energy as the energy source for the Black Earth. However, he noticed that he couldn't take this space away. It only existed here. If he didn't absorb it, it was very likely that it would disappear. Moreover, Lin Xian had also found the energy source for the Black Earth. It was the corpse of the Heaven Nether Bird. The Heaven Nether Bird was a late 2-star king. Although it was dead, its corpse still contained a huge amount of energy. It was extremely suitable to be used as the energy source for the Black Earth. Since he had thought it through, Lin Xian didn't hesitate any longer and quickly absorbed it. Once he absorbed it, he noticed that the energy contained within this black space was simply too huge. It was incomparably terrifying, and he couldn't absorb it all in a short period of time. However, he wasn't worried. At least for now, there was no danger in the Sky Martial continent, so he wholeheartedly cultivated. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months passed. Lin Xian still didn't come out. At the same time, the dark red divine dragon, Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and the 9th elder were extremely anxious. They were worried that something had happened to Lin Xian, so they quickly flew over to check on him. However, when they heard Lin Xian's voice transmission, they were relieved. They knew that Lin Xian was cultivating, and that he was at a crucial moment, so they couldn't disturb him. As long as Lin Xian wasn't in danger, they were relieved. This time, he spent an entire year cultivating. After an entire year, Lin Xian had completely absorbed the black space's energy. When he finished absorbing the last bit of energy, the entire black space instantly disappeared, and the surroundings returned to normal. In the distance, the Heaven Nether Bird's corpse had smashed a terrifying crater in the ground. Furthermore, the corpse was covered in blue ice, completely sealed in ice. Lin Xian had used the sea god's ice seal, He was worried that the energy would be lost, so he had sealed it in ice a year ago. At the side, Lin Xian was sitting cross-legged. In front of him was a black demonic sword that flickered with a dazzling light. The demonic sword was covered with strange runes, and when the wind blew, those runes emitted a mysterious energy. Although the entire black space had disappeared, Lin Xian didn't open his eyes. Instead, he was cultivating rapidly, because he had reached the most crucial point. Breaking through to the King realm. That's right. The black space's energy contained too much energy, causing Lin Xian to directly rise from the mid-ninth heaven venerate realm, and finally reach the most crucial step, breaking through to the King realm. This step was a life and death moment for any cultivator, and it was extremely difficult. It had to be handled carefully. Chapter 1501. He had already condensed his king's domain. Now, only his Bodhi's life force had reached the King realm. It could be said that it was much easier than ordinary martial artists. Not only did this process increase one's vitality, but it also required one's martial soul to transform into a king's domain. Although Lin Xian had the Dragon Sword domain transformed from the Great Dragon Sword soul, he still had other martial souls. What he needed to do now was to infuse the energy of his other martial souls into the Dragon Sword domain. Buzz! A purple and white figure appeared behind Lin Xian. It was his lightning martial soul. At this moment, the lightning martial soul turned into two streams of pure energy and entered the Dragon Sword domain. Instantly, the entire Dragon Sword domain trembled and countless lightning flashed. It could be clearly felt that the Dragon Sword domain's strength had increased by another level. Then countless pitch-black flames entered the Dragon Sword domain. This was Lin Xian's Black Flame martial soul. After this, there was also the Ice Dance martial soul. The three martial souls turned into pure energy and increased the power of the Dragon Sword domain. Soon, the Dragon Sword domain released a bright light, and the outline became more solid than before. Just from this domain, it could be seen that Lin Xian had already surpassed a one-star king. Even an ordinary two-star king could not compare to him in terms of king's domain. At the same time, a terrifying pressure erupted from his body. This was the aura of a king. It meant that Lin Xian had completely entered the King realm. Not only did he have the powerful Dragon Sword domain, his body had also evolved and broken through to become a king's physique. Although he was only in his 20s, he had lived for more than 2,000 years. It could be said that he was at the peak of the Tianwu continent. Other than that, more importantly, his battle strength had undergone a tremendous change. In the past, he needed to combine with the other 5 kings and ignite his bloodline power to fight against the heavenly Netherbird. But now, he could feel that he could kill the heavenly Netherbird with just his own strength. This was the greatest benefit of becoming a king. Since he had become a king, and the black space had disappeared, Lin Xian had no need to stay here. Thus, he waved his hand, and kept the heavenly Netherbird's corpse, and the 9 underworld demon, soared into the Dragon Sword domain. Then his figure flashed and left the place. The martial heaven continent regained its calm. It had been a year since the last time the heavenly Netherbird attacked the continent. Although they were not as excited as they were back then, there were still warriors who talked about the battle from time to time. Among them, Lin Xian's name was the hottest topic among these cultivators. That was because Lin Xian had killed the heaven Netherbird. He was the savior of the martial heaven continent. Now all the martial artists on the continent had joined hands to create a huge statue of him, erecting it at the center of the continent. This statue was very large and exquisitely carved. One look and one could tell that it was the work of a master. The lines depicted Lin Xian's demeanor. In the statue, he stepped on a divine dragon and held a killing sword in his hand. He looked valiant and looked down on the world. Even these people in Lin Xian had never thought that 1,000 years later, there would still be such a legend in the Sky Martial continent. On the other side, Lin Xian used his ultimate movement technique and quickly rushed back to the Palace of Ares. A few days later, he finally returned. Whoosh! He turned into a streak of sword light and drifted downwards. Who is it? Below, the martial artists of the Palace of Ares heard the commotion and immediately shouted coldly. That was because in this year, The palace of Ares had become the sacred ground of the martial heaven continent. No one dared to provoke it. But now, someone had actually landed without saying anything. "It's me." Lin Xian's figure flashed and appeared on the ground. "Young master, the young master is back." When the martial artists of the palace of Ares saw that figure, they immediately exclaimed. Soon, the news of Lin Xian's return spread throughout the palace of Ares. Not long after, the 9th elder, the 10th elder, and countless other elders of the palace of Ares all arrived. They looked at Lin Xian excitedly. "Young master, you're back." The 9th elder's voice trembled. He was too happy. "I've made you all worry." Lin Xian smiled, and then walked in with a group of elders. He knew that these elders would definitely have many questions, so he spent half a day answering all of their questions. Then he walked out of the palace, and sighed in relief. "Damn, you've become a king." The dark red divine dragon also flew over from afar. He immediately felt that Lin Xian's aura was different. "I just broke through." Lin Xian smiled. "Ruffian dragon, get ready. We're going to return to the Tianan region." Return to the Tianan region? The dark red divine dragon was stunned. Then he exclaimed, "You found the source of the energy?" "I found it. I think the corpse of the heavenly netherbird is pretty good." "That's great. Then we can leave this place and go to the true spirit world." After that, the dark red divine dragon went to prepare. As for Lin Xian, he went to the Myriad Spirit Valley, where his father was cultivating. Lin Zhan was still in seclusion, but this time, he had left a message. The message said that because he had sent out a clone, his seclusion time would be extended again. The message also said that Lin Xian could move the Lin family members to the palace of Ares. Furthermore, Lin Xian could also go to the true spirit world in advance. According to the rumors, Lin Zhan would also go to the real true spirit world after he came out of seclusion. After knowing his father's situation, Lin Xian did not hesitate anymore. He quickly got ready with the dark red divine dragon and headed to the Tianan region. Of course, before leaving, Lin Xian went to the Morong family and the Shen family respectively to see Morong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu. However, he did not bring the two of them to the Tianan region this time. This time, it was only him and the dark red divine dragon. Both of them were kings, so they flew extremely fast. This time, the speed of their return to the Tianan region was twice as fast as the previous time. After a few months, they arrived at the Tianan region. In the Tianan region, the Black Dragon sect had already been destroyed. The entire continent had regained its peace. As for the people of the Martial Alliance, after Lin Xian's warning, they did not dare to try to take over the entire continent. Even their people in the Xia country had been evacuated. Lin Xian was very satisfied with this. He did not stop, and directly flew in the direction of the Devil's Pit in the Xia country. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two rays of light streaked across the sky and disappeared instantly. Finally, the two of them arrived above the Devil's Pit again. Then, the two of them landed and quickly used their king's domain to break through the thick fog. Soon they arrived in front of the Black Earth. Lin Xian sent a voice inside. Not long after, the door of the Black Earth opened with a click. "Lin Xian, you're back." He too was still leaning over the broken sword and quickly floated out. "I'm back. How are my people?" Lin Xian asked. "Don't worry, they're all doing well. They're improving very quickly. Many of them have become supremacies." Hearing this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 1502. He2 asked again. Since you're back, does that mean you found the energy essence? I found it. Lin Xian waved his hand and threw out a black corpse. This is the heavenly nether bird. He2 was shocked. Where did you get the heavenly nether bird's corpse? Thus, Lin Xian explained what happened in the Sky Martial continent and asked, how is it? Can the heavenly nether bird's corpse be used as an energy source? 2-star late stage king, it's fine. As long as we can activate the Black Earth, things will be easy in the future. He2 was excited. He could finally leave this place. Lin Xian asked again. Do you know what the underworld is? Underworld? Why are you asking this? He2's voice was serious. The heavenly nether bird seems to be able to borrow the energy of the underworld. Also, I obtained a demon sword that seems to be related to the underworld. Heavens, this is just flying at a low speed and pulled out the 9-held demon sword from the king domain. The dark red divine dragon also swallowed the heavenly nether bird. To be honest, has a connection with the underworld. This flying ship was definitely beyond his imagination. Also came from the underworld. It was definitely not an ordinary Earth-class artifact. Figure it out. After arriving at the top of the palace of Ares, the true spirit world is vast and boundless. Voice transmission to the people below there are some places that are extremely dangerous. Below, humans call them the warriors of the palace of Ares received the underworld is one of them, and instantly opened a passage for Lin Xian. Don't even think about these and the others to enter. Even right now, can't survive the palace of Ares was impregnable. What? That's terrifying. There were arrays set up by the dark red divine dragon everywhere. He wasn't a newbie anymore. If others were to barge in, kings were saints. They would definitely be attacked fiercely. They were even more terrifying existences. Those below the king level would not be able to escape. Even such powerful experts couldn't return after entering the forbidden lands. Had opened up a passage. It seemed that the forbidden lands were quickly transformed into a small spirit tribe. He just didn't know where the heavenly nether bird it entered the passage. The 9-held demon sword. It arrived at the surface of the palace of Ares. After all, the spirit boat demon sword already belonged to him, causing a large wave of air put away the 9-held demon sword, and ran to see Grandpa Lin, the 9th elder, and the others had already gathered. And the dark red dragon had received the heavenly nether bird's corpse and were here to welcome him, and used it as an energy source to activate the Black Earth. And the dark red divine dragon were the Black Earth suddenly trembled. Then it was Old Master Lin, Second Uncle Lin, and the others all family members. Lin Xian was even more excited. You are back. He asked, the 9th elder and the others quickly walked forward. It's done. After that, the heavenly nether bird's body is well preserved, and the energy inside hasn't been lost. And the others to arrange for his family members to rest. He2 quickly said, had already thought about it. He would let the Lin family settle down here in the future. Lin Xian took a deep breath and said in a younger disciples, then to the immortal martial academy rose from the ground. As for the older generation of light, and they rushed into the sky, in the palace of Ares. The entire demon abyss was filled with the rolling clouds. Lin Xian did not need to worry too much, waves, because according to the rumors, his father had already set up a series of measures near the demonic abyss of the Lin family. Disappeared without a trace, along with the departure of the Black Earth. After settling down the Lin family, there would be no more demon abyss in Xia country. However, Lin Xian did not leave immediately. As for the legends and matters regarding the demon abyss, he specially accompanied they would only exist in people's and the other family members. The Black Earth turned into a stream of light that he did not know when he would return after leaving this time. 10 days later, now that he had time, he arrived at the top of the palace of Ares. He wanted to spend more time with his family. Quick. At the same time, too quick. He also arranged for people to search for news of Zhao Shui on the continent, and the others took nearly half a year had never forgotten about the Tianyan region. However, and the after she came out of the remote sky secret realm, even after he became there was no news of her. It would still take him 2 to 3 months for her. But now, to find her when the Black Earth only took 10 days to arrive at the top of the palace of Ares. But it had to be said that this was really too shocking. They were Morong after hearing this. He2 laughed disdainfully. The 2 girls knew that Lin Xian was leaving the Sky Martial continent at a low speed, so they had been waiting patiently in the family. After we leave the Tianwu continent, Lin Xian was coming back, they immediately rushed over. When Lin Xian found out what the 2 girls were thinking, his eyes widened in shock. What? You are also going to the true spirit world? But we don't know what's going on there. It might be very dangerous. Are you really going? Seeing Morong Qingqing and Shinjinkia's eyes, Lin Xian sighed. How could he not know what they were thinking? Chapter 1503. He2 flew over and quickly said, "What's the big deal? Let's go together." These two had extraordinary bloodlines. It was a pity for them to stay in such a small place. Don't worry. With their bloodlines, they will be put in an important position, even in the quintessential world. Hearing this, Lin Xian was delighted. If that was the case, then it was not impossible to bring Morong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu away. When the two girls came to the Palace of Gods of War, they had already discussed it with their families and received their approval. Therefore, they did not need to go back. They only needed to stay by Lin Xian's side. Lin Xian, on the other hand, quickly prepared some resources. After all, according to He2, the journey was extremely long. After waiting for another month, Lin Xian still did not find Zhao Shui. Suddenly he sighed. He knew that it was useless to wait any longer. Therefore, he prepared to leave. This time, the dark red dragon, Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and Luo Bingshan were leaving with him. Lin Xian was also surprised that Luo Bingshan wanted to follow him. This was because he had already removed the beast slave seal on Luo Bingshan and restored her freedom. Logically speaking, she should have left. However, Luo Bingshan did not leave. Instead, she continued to follow Lin Xian. This time, she even insisted on going to the quintessential world. In the end, Lin Xian nodded and agreed. The group boarded the Black Earth. Lin Xian bid farewell to Old Master Lin, Second Uncle Lin, Ninth Elder, and the others. Goodbye Grandfather, Second Uncle, Ninth Elder. Goodbye Palace of Gods of War. Goodbye Sky Martial Continent. Lin Xian stood in the sky and looked down silently. Then, he took a deep breath and entered the Black Earth. Lin Xian knew that he did not know when he would return to the quintessential world this time. After Lin Xian entered, the Black Earth closed completely. Then it released a bright light and disappeared into the sky like a shooting star. In a single day, the Black Earth left the Martial Heaven continent and arrived at the Endless Sea. According to He2, now was the time to truly accelerate. There were countless array formations and mechanisms on the Black Earth. Under Lin Xian's control, he could see the situation outside. Behind them, the Martial Heaven continent became smaller and smaller, until it was just a small black dot. All around them was an endless blue sea. In the next moment, the Black Earth suddenly trembled like a huge black hole, and it began to devour the surrounding spiritual energy. Under the full acceleration, the heavenly Netherbird's corpse couldn't withstand it. Fortunately, he had already activated the Black Earth with the heavenly Netherbird's corpse. All he needed to do now was to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. He2 was very excited. Then, under his control, the Black Earth released an endless amount of light. It instantly accelerated, turning into a stream of light as it sped across the entire sea. This speed was too fast. Even Lin Xian and the dark red dragon couldn't see what was happening outside. Lin Xian estimated that this speed was definitely not something an ordinary king could display. Fortunately, they had the Black Earth's defense. Otherwise, if they had to endure this speed, their bodies would probably split open. Since they couldn't see the situation outside, Lin Xian and the others didn't continue to look. According to He2, this high-speed flight should take about a year to reach the true spirit continent. This seemed like a long time, but it was already very fast. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't be able to reach it. Below the Venerable Realm, they might not be able to reach it in their lifetime. Even kings wouldn't be able to reach it without dozens or hundreds of years. One could imagine how vast this endless sea was. Fortunately, he had the Black Earth. Otherwise, Lin Xian might not be able to leave the Martial Heaven continent for the rest of his life. Since he had a year, Lin Xian couldn't waste it. Apart from spending time with Morong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu, he used the rest of his time to cultivate. Morong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu were very obedient. They knew that Lin Xian had many female confidants, so they didn't plan to monopolize them. Therefore, the relationship between the two was very good. Morong Qingqing treated Xin Jingqiu as a younger sister. Lin Xian was also relieved about the relationship between the two girls. Fortunately, their relationship was harmonious. Otherwise, he would have a headache. Damn, kid, 2 beautiful characters have been taken by you. Don't you feel good? The dark red dragon laughed strangely at the side. Hee hee. Lin Xian rolled his eyes at him. I remember there's also a girl called Zhao Shui. It seems that when she joins in, it won't be a problem. Ayaya, 3 peerless beauties. Just thinking about it makes me envious. The dark red dragon shook his head. Lin Xian kicked him and said, Are you itching for a beating? Damn kid, you dare to plot against me? Come, come, come. I'll teach you how to behave. In fact, the dark red dragon was too bored. So he looked for Lin Xian to spar with him every few days. Of course, they were only sparring. The resources on the Black Earth were very abundant, enough for everyone to cultivate. Among them, Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and Luo Bingshan's cultivation were all guided by He Tuesday. According to He Tu, it wasn't impossible for them to become kings within a year. The most important thing for the dark red dragon was to recover all his strength. After Lin Xian entered the king realm, he had cultivated the Furious Dragon Mantra and Heavenly Amplification Visualization Technique to greater mastery. Now that he was cultivating these techniques, there was no longer any effect. Moreover, according to He Tu, although these techniques were all Earth-grade techniques, they were all low-grade Earth-grade techniques. Earth-grade techniques were also divided into low-grade, mid-grade, and top-grade. Low-grade techniques were the most common, and their might could be said to be divine techniques for cultivators below the king realm. However, low-grade Earth-rank cultivation techniques were truly too ordinary to king realm martial artists. Generally, those with strength would cultivate mid-grade or high-grade Earth-grade techniques. As for top-grade Earth-grade techniques, they were extremely rare. Only some of the top clans had them. On the Sky Martial continent, the top clans were the king clans, but in the quintessential world they weren't kings. Although they were powerful, they weren't ranked. The top clans in the quintessential world were the Great Sage Lands and the clans of the Ancients. These holy lands and clans were extremely powerful, and many of them had produced emperors. As for the rest, even if they hadn't, they had been passed down for hundreds of thousands of years, and their foundations were extremely terrifying. It was absolutely not something that Lin Xian could imagine. The quintessential world was divided into 5 continents, and each continent had its own clans of the ancients and peerless holy lands. They were the true rulers of the quintessential world. The Pill sect that Lin Xian was going to this time wasn't a peerless holy land, but a subsidiary sect of a peerless holy land. However, its strength was also extremely terrifying and unimaginable, and it was absolutely not something that the king clans of the Sky Martial continent could compare to. As he listened to the news, Lin Xian was extremely excited in his heart. He knew that that was the true great world, where geniuses came in large numbers and countless experts. Cultivation techniques, secret manuals, and heavenly treasures made people go crazy. Chapter 1504. Great Emperor. Lin Xian took a deep breath, as his eyes burst out with resplendent light. As long as one was a martial artist, there was no one who didn't want to become a great emperor. This was also Lin Xian's goal. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Xian began to cultivate. As the fourth-generation dragon sword inheritor's spirit ship, the Black Earth contained many martial arts manuals. These manuals were all Earth-rank martial arts, and the weakest was Earth-rank low-rank. Many of them were Earth-rank mid-rank, and there were even Earth-rank high-rank martial arts. According to He Tu, there were Earth-rank top-rank martial arts, but they weren't here and had been destroyed. Sigh. He Tu sighed at this point. The fourth-generation dragon sword inheritor was too young. It could be said that he was assassinated just as he revealed his talent. This also rang an alarm bell for Lin Xian. He knew that once the secret of the great dragon sword soul was exposed, he would be pursued endlessly. Earth-rank martial arts were extremely terrifying, but they were also very difficult to cultivate. Especially Earth-rank, mid-rank, and high-rank martial arts, they were even more difficult and bitter. Therefore, Lin Xian knew that he shouldn't bite off more than he could chew. When choosing martial arts, he was even more careful. In terms of body, Lin Xian found that the longevity incantation was already sufficient and didn't need to use other martial arts. Therefore, Lin Xian only needed to choose between attack and soul power. Among them, there was an earth-rank martial art, myriad sword arts. Lin Xian liked it very much, because he found that this myriad sword arts could be used together with his dragon sword domain to display an extremely powerful battle strength. This myriad sword arts was divided into 3 levels, and the 3rd level was great success. In addition to attack power, there was also soul power, as well as other secret arts. It could be said that the martial arts here were very complete, and were enough for Lin Xian to cultivate. And Lin Xian was like a sponge, rapidly absorbing them. Just like this, he began his king realm cultivation. The Black Earth was like a shooting star as it flew in the boundless sea. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Kid, well reached the real true spirit continent in about a month's time. On this day, news came from Hey Tuesday. Are we almost there? Lin Xian opened his eyes from his cultivation. He could not help but feel excited again. However, at this moment, there was a sudden tremor, and the entire Black Earth shook. What happened? Lin Xian asked with a frown. Damn it, someone's attacking us. He Tu quickly said. Soon after, the surrounding walls flickered, revealing the situation outside. After the previous tremors, the Black Earth had slowed down. Around them there were 5 huge spirit boats. 4 of them were around them blocking their way. The 5th person was a burly man standing on the spirit boat, right in front of them. What's going on? Lin Xian frowned. Fuck, it's actually pirates. He Tu's voice was heavy. I wonder how strong they are. Pirates. Lin Xian's frown deepened. Naturally, he knew what pirates meant. They were definitely powerful martial artists who robbed the passing spirit boats. However, he did not expect that he would encounter them. The people inside, listen up. Hurry up and come out for inspection. Otherwise, don't blame me for destroying your spirit boat. An extremely arrogant voice sounded. At this moment, Morong Qingqing and the other 2 also arrived. What do we do? The 3 looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a gloomy expression. He asked, Hey Tu, is this spirit boat sturdy? Don't worry, this Black Earth is definitely beyond your imagination. The other party definitely won't be able to destroy it. He Tu was very confident about this. Alright, let's directly drive over and destroy their spirit boat, Lin Xian said. Alright, very violent. I like it. He Tu quickly flew, and continued to control the spirit boat. In front of them, there were countless people standing on the spirit boat. The person at the front was a burly man with many martial artists beside him. They were actually all 1-star kings. As for the burly man, his aura was even more powerful. He had actually reached 2-star king realm. This kind of cultivation was enough to sweep through the entire Tianwu continent. However, they did not expect that there was only a pirate leader here. From this, one could imagine how developed the martial Tao in the quintessential world was. At this moment, a skinny man beside him said, Boss, Looking at the appearance of that spirit boat, it should be a big fat sheep. The burly man also smiled sinisterly. This spirit boat is not bad. I like it. Later, let's see who is on it. If they are weak, just kill them. Everything they have is mine. Don't worry, boss. We know what to do. The few kings beside us all laughed. They were not rookies. They had been pirates here for a long time. Therefore, these things were very easy to do. However, the skinny man soon frowned. This was because he realized that the spirit boat in front of them did not stop as expected. Instead, it flickered with an incomparably terrifying light. He's trying to escape. It's just a spirit boat. You want to escape from my hands? You're courting death. Order everyone to attack. The burly man's face darkened as he quickly gave the order. Immediately, the surrounding 4 spirit boats flickered with light and rapidly shot out beams of resplendent light. These light beams were extremely terrifying and contained extremely powerful energy. A 1-star king would not be able to resist them at all. Even a 2-star king would be threatened by them. However, at this moment, the black earth was moving at an extremely fast speed. It dodged the 4 pillars of light in an instant and continued to fly forward. What? He dodged them? So fast. The kings were shocked. They did not expect this to happen. The burly man's face was extremely gloomy because he realized that the other party was actually flying towards him. You dare to charge towards me? You're courting death. The burly man sneered and then said, Order everyone to attack and destroy this spirit boat. He was too angry. He had been a pirate for so many years, but he had never encountered such a situation. But now, someone actually dared to provoke him. He was courting death. Soon, the spirit boat under his feet slashed out a huge beam of light. It was like a heavenly blade that ruthlessly slashed forward. Suddenly, the void cracked and airwaves rolled. The sky and sea were split open, creating a vacuum. This attack was too powerful and fast. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the black earth. Suddenly, an earth-shattering collision sound rang out. It was like a sudden clap of thunder. The burly man sneered. How dare you go against me? This is your fate. Before he finished laughing, he suddenly froze. His face froze, and his pupils dilated as if he had seen a ghost. This was because he saw a beam of light rushing towards him from the explosion of energy. Chapter 1505. What? Impossible. How is this possible? The burly man was shocked, and the pirates behind him were all stunned. Not only was the other party undamaged, but it was also completely fine. They couldn't believe it. Damn it, what kind of spiritual boat is this? How can it be so powerful? The group of people's faces were gloomy, but soon they screamed, because the spiritual boat was rapidly charging towards them. Retreat, quickly retreat! The burly man roared crazily, while the other pirates felt their scalps go numb as they desperately ran to the sides. Boom! In the next moment, an earth-shattering sound rang out. The black earth crashed into the spiritual boat in front of it, causing an earth-shattering tremor as countless shockwaves rolled out. The spiritual boat in front of it was smashed into pieces by the black earth. As for the pirates on the spiritual boat, they were directly turned into a bloody mist. The burly man and the other kings escaped relatively quickly, so they weren't knocked down. However, the energy storm that exploded sent them flying. Whoosh whoosh. They all vomited blood, and their faces were pale. The black earth didn't stop, and like a meteor, it quickly flew into the distance. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it, what kind of spiritual boat is that? The group of people roared crazily, extremely shocked. They had been pirates for so many years, but they had never seen such a powerful method. Inside the black earth snorted in disdain. Humph, a group of pirates dare to rob me? If I wasn't worried about the lack of energy, I would have killed them with one blast. Lin Xian and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the black earth was incomparably powerful. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome for him to take action. This was only the beginning. After this, they encountered a few more waves of pirates. However, the black earth was still rampaging in an extremely valiant manner. Anyone who dared to intercept was directly smashed and sent flying. Just like that, Lin Xian and the others quickly flew and finally arrived at the quintessential world. Finally, after a year and a month of flying, Lin Xian and the others finally arrived at the quintessential world. The quintessential world was divided into 5 major regions: Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, Northern Plains, and Central Region. Lin Xian and the others had arrived at the Eastern Wasteland. This continent was extremely large, countless times the size of the Sky Marshal continent. In fact, in the eyes of the people of the Eastern continent, their Sky Marshal continent was called the Sky Marshal Island. On the sea, there were several tens of islands similar to the Sky Marshal Island. It had to be said that this world was truly too mystical. In the Eastern Wilderness, there were countless forces including empires, sects, sacred grounds, and worlds. Lin Xian and the others were currently approaching one of the empires, the Dashuan Empire. This empire was terrifying. Although it wasn't at the level of a holy land or a clan of the ancients, it was still formidable. It was said that the king of the Dashuan Empire was invincible. He was invincible in the king realm. On the other hand, the clan of the ancients and the peerless sacred grounds had saints. In fact, some of the powers that had produced great emperors before would possess imperial armaments and terrifying foundations. That sort of strength was truly unimaginable. However, all of this was still very far away from Lin Xian. At this moment, they were still in the Dashuan Empire. However, as soon as they came ashore, Lin Xian and the others put away the spiritual boat. This was because there was a huge stone tablet erected by the coast. It was clearly written on it that once one entered the empire, flying with spiritual boats was forbidden. Ordinary kings didn't dare to violate this rule at all. Of course, if one was an invincible king, or had surpassed the invincible king, they could naturally ignore it. Lin Xian hadn't reached this level yet, so they stopped, put away the spiritual boat, and entered the Dashuan Empire. However, just putting away the spiritual state wasn't enough. They still had to pay a fee. The coastline was heavily guarded by soldiers. The weakest of those soldiers was an 8th or 9th level venerable, and there were even many half-step kings. These were just ordinary soldiers. Some of the leaders were 1-star and 2-star kings. There were even more terrifying existences. Moreover, there were so many of these kings that almost no one dared to behave atrociously here. Looking at the armored soldiers, Lin Xian, Murong Qingcheng, and the others exclaimed. Powerful, they were too powerful. On the Tianmu continent, kings were at the peak of overlords. However, here they were only pirate leaders. One could imagine how powerful this world was. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian and the others walked forward. The fee was very simple. It was calculated based on the number of people, 1 subdivinity crystal per person. On the way here, Lin Xian had already learned that the common currency in the true spirit world was subdivinity crystals. There were also spirit stones here, but they were definitely more ordinary. However, they could be exchanged with subdivinity crystals. The exchange rate was that 1 subdivinity crystal was equal to 100 high-grade spirit stones. Lin Xian didn't have many high-grade spirit stones, but Lin Xian still had some subdivinity crystals. Therefore, he could afford to pay these expenses. Soon the group walked up. The array scanning included the demonic beasts in the storage bags, so Lin Xian and the others spent a total of 6 subdivinity crystals. After paying, they were just about to leave when a hurried sound came from behind. Then a red spirit boat flew over quickly. The spirit boat was engraved with runes that flickered with cold light. It even emitted an extremely powerful aura. Everyone looked up at the sky. Many people even whispered to each other. Their eyes were filled with shock and envy. Without a doubt, this spirit boat's grade must be extraordinary. At this moment, the spirit boat flickered with light, and then a few figures descended quickly. The first to descend was a youth in a golden robe. He had short hair and a round face. When he smiled, he looked like a Maitreya Buddha. Behind him, 3 figures also descended quickly. They were 3 middle-aged men in black armor. They were expressionless. However, from their auras, one could tell that they were 2-star kings. From their appearance and demeanor, they seemed to be the golden-robed youth's bodyguards. Damn, using 2-star kings as bodyguards. How extravagant. Lin Xian, Morong Qingcheng, and the others were shocked. It seemed that he should be a disciple of a large family. Once the golden-robed youth landed, he looked around. Then he saw Lin Xian and the others. When he saw the 3 beauties beside Lin Xian, Morong Qingcheng, Shen Jingxiu, and Luo Bingshan, he was stunned. He did not expect 3 stunning beauties to gather around a young man. This shocked him. However, he soon looked away and stared at a snow-white little monkey and a dark red dragon. Oh my God, are my eyes playing tricks on me? These are supreme-grade spirit beasts. Although the golden-robed youth was fat, he was not slow at all. He quickly came to Lin Xian's side and stared at the dark red dragon and the snow-white little monkey while drooling. It was as if he had seen a beauty. Chapter 1506. Top quality. Really top quality. This 4-legged snake probably has the bloodline of dragons. And this little white monkey, its aura is very strange. Even I can't see through it. Brother, where did you get these 2 spirit beasts? Why don't you buy them for me? Damn. Lin Xian's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't expect the golden-robed fatty in front of him to be interested in the dark red dragon and the little white monkey. Fuck damn fatty. I really want to kick you, the dark red dragon said through gritted teeth. Oh no. The little white monkey was also unhappy. It waved its little paws and wanted to pounce. Fortunately, Lin Xian stopped it. Sorry, they are my companions, not pets. Therefore, you'd better not talk about business or anything like that. Lin Xian said coldly before turning around to leave. Brother, if you don't want to sell them, then don't sell them. Let's talk nicely. At least make friends. The golden-robed fatty didn't bully him. Instead, he walked over with a smile. My surname is Luo Zheng, Fatty Luo said with a smile. Brother, how should I address you? Where are you from? Lin Xian from outside. Outside? Are you from one of those islands? Luo Zheng was surprised. The warriors and guards around them were also surprised. They knew that very few people could break into those islands. They didn't expect the group of people in front of them to be from those islands. Luo Zheng was also surprised, but he didn't ask in detail. There were more than 10 islands around, and he might not be able to name them. What he was really interested in were these 2 spirit beasts. So he quickly went up. Brother, why don't we go together? I'm also going to the Dashuan Empire. Sure. Lin Xian saw that he didn't have any bad intentions, so he nodded. He He wanted to find someone to ask about the alchemy sect. Judging from Fatty Luo's identity, he should be a young master of an aristocratic family. He should know about the alchemy sect. That's great. Seeing that Lin Xian had agreed, Fatty Luo clapped his hands in joy. Then he said, "How about this? There's a city nearby. Let's go there and chat while we eat." Along the way, Fatty Luo kept trying to get close to Lin Xian. Their team also attracted the attention of the crowd. It couldn't be helped. Morong Qingcheng, Shen Jingqiu, and Rua Bingshan were too beautiful. It was rare for them to see such a beauty. Moreover, from what they knew, such people should be in the hands of peerless experts. Or perhaps he himself was a peerless expert. But now these three women were probably only one-star King Realm cultivators. Moreover, the young man beside them was also a one-star King Realm cultivator. He was pitifully weak. There were even a few cultivators who had secretly followed them from the shore. This was because they had already heard that Lin Xian had come from a distant island and had no background at all. Even if such a person was killed, it probably wouldn't attract much attention. When the time comes to kill that brat, these three beauties will be theirs. However, they didn't dare to make a move. This was because Fatty Luo was beside Lin Xian. Fatty Luo's cultivation couldn't be seen clearly, and the three bodyguards beside him were all two-star kings. When the three of them worked together, they were extremely powerful. Therefore, the people behind them only followed from afar and didn't dare to make a move. However, they didn't give up. This was because they knew that the two of them would eventually separate. When that time came, it would be time for them to make a move. In front, Lin Xian frowned. He could naturally sense the people following behind him. He sneered in his heart and ignored them. He didn't want to cause too much trouble when he first came here. However, if those people behind him were really blind and dared to provoke him, he didn't mind sending them on their way. Ahead there was a huge city. It was several times larger than any city on the Tianwu continent. After entering the city, Lin Xian realized that not everyone here was a King Realm cultivator. A King Realm cultivator was also an expert in the Dashuan Empire. Other than that, there were even more venerables. This made Lin Xian heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that his situation wasn't too bad. At least he wasn't at the bottom. He should be considered a middle-level cultivator. Actually, this was very normal. The population of the true spirit world far exceeded that of the Tianwu continent, so there were more kings here. However, King Realm cultivators were extremely powerful, so those who could become kings were all experts. Due to the large population, there were even more people below the King Realm. Venerables could be seen everywhere. Great Wind Restaurant. The arrival of Lin Xian's group attracted the attention of the entire restaurant. Especially those cultivators. Their gazes were all on Morong Qingcheng and the other two. Morong Qingcheng and the other two had cold faces and didn't say a word. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. With a cold snort, Lin Xian's body faintly emitted a terrifying aura. The sword intent was formless, but it was incomparably sharp. The moment it appeared, the atmosphere in the entire restaurant suddenly dropped. Everyone's bodies inexplicably trembled. Immediately, many people retracted their gazes, their hearts filled with shock. However, they didn't think that this aura was emitted by Lin Xian. They thought that it was emitted by the golden-robed fatty beside him, and the three two-star kings behind him. But no matter what, at least no one dared to look so arrogantly. This restaurant had a total of 3 floors. The hall on the first floor was the largest, and there were hundreds of tables of cultivators sitting inside. There were occasionally many one-star kings, but most of them were venerables. However, he didn't see any 2-star kings. Lin Xian was slightly surprised, but he didn't ask anything. Instead, he came to an empty table, and the group sat down. "Brother, let me tell you, this restaurant is very extraordinary. There's a kind of soup here that's very magical. You'll know in a while." Fatty Luo had a mysterious expression. He instructed a black-clothed bodyguard behind him to order the first 7 dishes. Not long after, a few beautiful maids served some food. Lin Xian looked at the exquisite jade bowl in front of him and was greatly surprised. This was because there was a kind of soup inside that emitted a rich fragrance. Not only him, but Morong Qingqing and the others were also surprised. Meanwhile, Fatty Luo said with a smile, "Brother, try it." "Okay." Lin Xian nodded. This was the first time he had seen such a delicious soup, so he quickly drank a big mouthful. The taste was very good, but as soon as he drank a mouthful, he felt a wave of heat coming from his body. It was as if he wasn't drinking soup, but an extremely terrifying flame. The heat wave became stronger and stronger, crashing crazily in his body, as if it was about to explode. "What's going on?" Lin Xian frowned. On the side, the dark red divine dragon, Morong Qingcheng, and the others also put down the bowls and chopsticks in their hands, and looked at Fatty Luo with uncertain expressions. However, Fatty Luo smiled bitterly. "Fuck, brother, who told you to eat so much? This is called four-beast soup. It's made from 4 kinds of king beasts. The energy inside is very terrifying. Even kings would take small sips of it." "It's my fault. I didn't explain clearly," Fatty Luo said apologetically. However, at this moment, a disdainful sneer came from the side. "Hey, what an idiot. How dare he drink such a big mouthful? Humph, he hasn't even heard of four-beast soup. Is this guy a country bumpkin?" Chapter 1507. A few disdainful sneers were heard, and their voices were filled with provocation. The sneers came from a few one-star kings. They had thought that Lin Xian was a young master from some big family, which explained why he had 3 beauties despite his low cultivation. But now, it seemed that this was simply impossible, because all the young masters of the Dashuan Empire knew about the four-beast soup. However, this young man before them knew nothing about it. Obviously, he came from the countryside. They wouldn't care about such a person with a one-star king cultivation. Lin Xian frowned, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He had sensed many greedy gazes along the way, and it was obvious that it was caused by his low cultivation. If he was an unparalleled expert, these people probably wouldn't even dare to look at him. Although Lin Xian was only a one-star king, his strength had skyrocketed after a year of cultivation. Now, 2-star kings were no match for him, and even 3-star kings might not be able to defeat him. The Great Dragon Sword Soul was an offensive saint art. Now that Lin Xian had entered the king realm, he could unleash the terrifying power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul. Therefore, he planned to display his strength to intimidate these people. Otherwise, these people would fly around him like flies, and he would be annoyed just by looking at them. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile, as he circulated the art of longevity within his body, quickly absorbing the violent energy. In an instant, the heat on his body disappeared, and even his red skin returned to normal. What? He's fine. How is this possible? Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. They had been paying attention to Lin Xian, especially those one-star kings. They looked at him coldly. This was because the four-beast soup was made from 4 different king demonic beasts, and its energy was extremely terrifying. If he used too much of it, he would probably explode and die. One-star kings couldn't withstand that energy at all. In their opinion, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to escape this fate. However, they didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, the heat on his body had completely disappeared. They couldn't believe it. Damn it, how did he do it? The group of people were shocked, and those king tears who were sneering also had gloomy expressions as they gnashed their teeth. This was completely different from what they had imagined. On the side, Fatty Lua was also speechless. Then he said with a smile, "Brother, you're really something." Lin Xian also smiled and said, "The soup is not bad. It's delicious." Finally, he picked it up and wanted to drink it again. But at this moment, another group of people walked in from the door. As soon as these people appeared, the originally noisy hall immediately quieted down. That was because the auras of these people were too powerful. They were surrounded by a monstrous killing intent, making them look like killing gods. The person in the lead was a tall and sturdy man. His face was ferocious, and his cultivation was even more powerful. He was a 2-star king. There were many 1-star kings, and 9th-level venerables behind him. Damn, the Iron Fist pirates, why are they here? Everyone screamed when they saw this group of people. Many of them trembled, and almost knelt on the ground. Pirates were extremely terrifying. They specialized in robbing and killing passing spirit ships at sea. The Iron Fist pirates were one of the more famous pirates. The appearance of this group of people caused the atmosphere in the hall to become extremely heavy. Lin Xian, the dark red dragon, and the others also frowned. This was because they realized that the people who had appeared were the pirates who had intercepted them previously. They hadn't expected the other party to appear here. "Kid, what should we do? Should we attack?" The dark red dragon asked. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. "Don't be anxious. Let's observe the situation first." Although Lin Xian's side didn't attack, the expressions of the Iron Fist pirates changed drastically when they came in. This was especially true for their leader, Iron Fist, who was the burly man, who was staring at Lin Xian. It's actually you." He looked at Lin Xian, his voice trembling as a murderous aura surged from his body. Although he hadn't seen Lin Xian before, he sensed the aura of the Black Earth on Lin Xian's body. They remembered the Black Earth very clearly, because it was the Black Earth that had destroyed all their spirit ships. It had even killed many of their brothers. Now that he saw Lin Xian, his eyes turned red. However, he soon revealed a sinister smile because he realized that Lin Xian's cultivation was pitifully weak. 1-star kings, they were only 1-star kings. Other than the golden-robed fatty and the 3 bodyguards behind him, the rest were only 1-star kings. This kind of strength couldn't withstand a single blow from him. In particular, there were 3 peerless beauties beside Lin Xian. They made him drool. "Ha ha ha, the heavens are really helping me. Kid, you dared to crash my spirit ship. Today is the day you die." The tall and sturdy man laughed sinisterly. The pirates behind him also laughed sinisterly. What a beautiful girl. He had struck gold. There were probably only a few beauties like her in the entire Dashuan Empire. Who would have thought that we would encounter her? "Haha kid, you're dead meat. I advise you to kneel on the ground obediently. Perhaps I can give you a quick death. Otherwise, it'll make you regret being born into this world." Sinister voices rang out one after another, and the expressions of everyone in the hall changed. What? That country bumpkin actually provoked the Iron Fist pirate ship? He's dead meat. He's definitely dead meat. Sigh, he's indeed a country bumpkin. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. The 1-star kings who had sneered earlier sneered even more. However, it was a pity that these beauties belonged to the Iron Fist pirate ship. At this moment, the golden-robed fatty also frowned. "Brother, how did you provoke the Iron Fist pirate ship? They are a group of ruthless people. However, it's fate that brought us together. How about it? Do you need my help? No need. Thank you for your kindness, Brother Luo. I can handle this small matter. Lin Xian smiled and shook his head. What? Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. Dealing with the Iron Fist pirate ship was a small matter? Oh heavens, does he even have a brain? Not to mention the surrounding cultivators. Even Fatty Luo and the 3 two-star bodyguards behind him were stunned. This was because they could clearly sense that Lin Xian's cultivation was only that of a 1-star king. On the other hand, the captain of the Iron Fist pirate ship was a 2-star king. In addition, there were 7 or 8 1-star kings behind him. This kind of strength was extremely powerful. In the entire hall, perhaps only the 3 2-star kings behind Fatty Luo could contend against them. However, Lin Xian said that this was a small matter. Where did he get his confidence from? Fatty Luo wanted to persuade him again, but the Iron Fist pirate ship opposite him suddenly burst out laughing. What did he say? Deal with us? Ha 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 ha. What a joke. Kid, do you know who you're talking to? What an idiot. He's dead meat. He's definitely dead meat. Chapter 1508. Boss, let me deal with him. At this moment, a middle-aged man beside the burly man said with a sinister smile. Alright, be careful. Don't kill him all of a sudden. That won't be fun. The Iron Fist pirates joked, not putting Lin Xian and the others in their eyes at all. On the opposite side, Lin Xian was calm and composed. The dark red divine dragon beside him gritted its teeth, itching to attack. However, Morong Qingcheng and the others were a little nervous. After all, this was the first time they had seen so many kings, especially the burly man. His aura was even more terrifying than their old ancestors. Brother Such a person could destroy the entire Tianwu continent. Therefore, Fatty Luo was stunned for a moment before he realized on the opposite side was thinking the middle-aged man received the order and took a step forward. Go ahead. The aura on his body quickly condensed. He was a 1-star king. What
and
arrogance.
he was one of the stronger
Lin
ones.
Xian was slightly
Although
surprised.
this middle-aged man looked
seemed that
ordinary,
Fatty Luo's identity
his aura
was
was
not
abnormally
simple.
terrifying.
However, this was
he was
even
like
better.
a war god that
he didn't
had
have to
descended
worry
from the
anymore.
9 heavens.
In the next
Emitting
moment,
a powerful
he
aura.
turned his head and
Kid,
stared at
let
the
me teach
middle-aged
you how to
man again
behave.
with a trace
The
of
middle-aged
killing
man
intent in his
sneered.
eyes.
Then,
What
his
do you
figure
want?
flashed,
The middle-aged
and he
man
appeared in front of
trembled
Lin
under this
Xian.
gaze.
His 5
Crack.
fingers formed a
The
claw
sound of
and
bones
quickly
breaking
grabbed
was
at
heard.
Lin Xian's head.
The middle-aged man screamed
man's
because
attack
his
was
entire
very
arm had
spiritual.
been broken
His
by Lin
palm was
Xian.
like a 5-fingered
Everyone was
mountain,
shocked, and their
resounding
scalps
through the
went numb.
void, and
They didn't
blooming with
expect
the
Lin Xian
resplendent
to
light.
really dare to
If
attack.
this palm was released,
the Iron Fist
Lin
pirate
Xian
crew
would
would
be
be even more
crippled
furious
even if he did not die.
They roared in the
You're
entire
courting
hall.
death.
Everyone
Soon,
shook their
3
heads
one-star
inside.
kings charged
However,
toward Lin
in the
Xian.
next moment,
On the other
everyone was
hand,
stunned.
Lin Xian
because
threw
the
out a
scene
punch
of blood
and
splattering
sent the
out as they
middle-aged
had
man
imagined
flying.
did not happen.
Then he shouted,
In fact,
"Get lost."
the resplendent
Puff,
palm light also
puff,
quickly disappeared.
puff. The
Everyone
3
looked
one-star
carefully,
kings trembled
and
as
then
if
their
they had been
mouths fell
struck by
open.
lightning.
Because in
They
front
spat
of
out
them,
mouthfuls
the
of blood
middle-aged
and flew
man's palm
backward.
was easily
Shocked,
grabbed by
everyone
Lin
was
Xian.
shocked.
What? They didn't
He
expect
got it.
that Lin
How
Xian
is
would
this
be able
possible?
to injure 3 one-star
Everyone was
kings
shocked and
with
could
just
not
a
believe
single
it.
sound.
The Iron
Isn't
Fist
this
pirates
strength a little
also
too
frowned.
terrifying?
Obviously,
Damn it,
Lin
who is
Xian's
this
strength
brat?
was beyond
How
their
can he have such
expectations.
powerful battle
The
strength?
middle-aged man's
He hit his
pupils
strength.
constricted.
Otherwise,
he looked
he
at
wouldn't
Lin
be so
Xian in
powerful.
shock, as if he had
Everyone
seen a
was
ghost.
extremely shocked.
How is this possible?
They realized that
How
they
is
had
this
underestimated
possible?
this young
How is
man.
it possible for
Injuring
him to
3
receive his
one-star
attack
kings
so
with
easily?
a single sound was
Damn it,
definitely
I don't
not
believe
something
it.
a
I
one-star
must
king
have been
could do.
careless just now.
This was at least the
The
strength of a
middle-aged man
2-star
roared
king.
ferociously.
Damn it,
He
we've
wanted
been
to withdraw
deceived.
his palm and
This
attack
brat's
again.
strength still surpasses
However, he
one-star
realized that he
kings.
couldn't do it
On
at
the
all.
opposite side,
because his
the
hand
Iron
was
Fist
firmly
pirate
grasped
crew's
by Lin
expressions
Xian.
were sinister.
He couldn't move at all.
The burly man's
What?
face was
Such
especially
strength.
gloomy.
Damn
Brat,
it. Get out
you've
of my
indeed
way.
exceeded my
The middle-aged
expectations.
man roared as his
However,
body
do you
exploded
think
with
you
a
can defeat
resplendent
us like
light.
this?
And a
You're
massive
too
amount
naive.
of power
Today
surged
I'll show
towards
you
his
my
opponent's
strength.
palm.
The burly
Even
man
if it was a
shouted
giant
coldly as
mountain,
silver
it would
light
still
appeared on his
crumble.
fists.
However,
He
Lin
was a
Xian's
2-star
palm
king
remained unchanged
and was extremely powerful.
Kill me with a single
He was
palm.
very close
Disdain
to
for
becoming
me?
a 2-star
This
king.
is your strength.
With a roar,
Lin
the
Xian
burly
sneered,
man
his
punched
eyes
out with
emitting
his
a cold
fists.
light.
They were
Then,
like silver
he
demonic
exerted a
beasts
little
that
force in his
flickered in
palm.
the air.
And the middle-aged
Not good.
man in
Iron
front of
Fist
him
is
immediately
attacking.
screamed.
Although Iron
Hearing
Fist
this
is
voice,
arrogant and
everyone
has killed
felt their
countless
scalps
people.
go numb. His
They
strength
didn't
is
expect
extremely
Lin Xian
terrifying,
to be so strong.
especially his
Even
fists.
Fatty
They're
Luo
even more powerful.
and the 3 2-star bodyguards
He
behind
should be
him were
practicing
shocked.
the 100
The
crack
middle-aged
fist.
man's expression
Looking at
was
his aura,
hideous.
I'm
It was
afraid
too
no
painful.
2-star king is
His
his
wrist
match.
couldn't take it at all.
I
if
wonder
Lin
how that
Xian
brat is
exerted
doing.
a little force.
Can he take it?
However,
Impossible.
as a member of the
Although
Iron
that brat
Fist
has the
pirate
battle
crew,
strength of a
he couldn't
2-star
beg
king.
for mercy in
He's
front
at
of
most
so
an
many
early
people.
stage 2-star
So he
king.
could only grit his
After all,
teeth and
he's still
speak.
young. Break
I'm
it if you
afraid
have
he
the
won't be
guts,
able to block
or he'll
Iron
kill you.
Fist.
Kid,
Everyone
let me
was
go if you know
discussing
what's good for
rapidly.
you. There's no way for you to live
However,
after
at
offending
this
our
moment,
pirate crew.
Iron Fist's fists
Although
were
he was
already
subdued
flying
by
toward
Lin
Lin
Xian,
Xian.
the
entire
middle-aged man
void
was
trembled
still
as
extremely
an extremely
arrogant.
powerful force ruthlessly rushed toward Lin Xian.
This was the power of a 2-star king. Moreover, the silver light contained an explosive aura that was extremely terrifying. However, Lin Xian didn't care. He stretched out his hand and grabbed forward. What? He's actually resisting with his bare hands. He doesn't want to live anymore. When everyone saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Iron Fist even roared. Humph, he's really courting death. Chapter 1509. Boom. The next moment, a deep sound was heard. The entire void cracked open, and a violent aura blew at everyone. The kings were still fine, but the supremacies were even bleeding from their ears and trembling. This punch was too terrifying. However, Iron Fist widened his eyes in disbelief. His body was even trembling slightly. This was because his punch was easily blocked by the other party. Green sword chi circled around the palm. Although it was calm, it was like a huge mountain in front of him. No matter how hard he tried, he could not break it. Iron Fist Pirate Team? 2-star Kings? How arrogant. But I'm curious. Is this what gives you the right to be arrogant in front of me? You're so weak. Lin Xian sneered. What? He blocked it. He actually blocked Iron Fist's attack? How is this possible? God, I'm not dreaming, am I? At this moment, everyone was extremely shocked, and their bodies were trembling. Especially the people of Iron Fist Pirate Team. They looked at Lin Xian with a trace of fear. It could not be helped. This was too shocking. One had to know that Iron Fist was their leader, a 2-star king. His strength was incomparably terrifying. Moreover, they killed all year round, and had a monstrous killing intent. Ordinary kings were no match for them at all. But now, a young man in his 20s had actually blocked Iron Fist's attack. Moreover, he looked very relaxed. This was something that they did not dare to imagine. Lin Xian sneered and gently waved his palm forward. Immediately, the cyan sword chi on his palm rapidly surged, transforming into numerous sharp swords that pierced towards the burly man. Iron Fist's scalp went numb, because he could feel the power contained in the green sword chi. It was enough to cut his body open. Damn it, this is impossible. Who is he? How can he have such powerful combat strength? He was simply too shocked. His entire body retreated rapidly like a mountain, moving rapidly in the void. At the same time, countless silver lights condensed on his body, forming a Silver King's domain that completely enveloped him. He's attacking with all his strength. Everyone cried out in shock, because they realized that Iron Fist had already used his king's domain. He was definitely going all out. However, the cyan sword ray flickered and slashed down rapidly, instantly slicing apart the silver domain. Bang bang. A low and deep voice sounded. Iron Fist seemed to have suffered a heavy blow, and his body kept retreating. There were several sword scars on his body. They were extremely terrifying, and in some places, white bones could be seen. Heavily injured. He had been heavily injured by his opponent in an instant. This was simply too terrifying. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. This was especially true for the members of the Iron Fist pirate group. Their bodies began to tremble as they watched this scene in horror. Impossible. How is this possible? How could Commander lose? Damn it. Who is this kid? How can he be so powerful? At this moment, everyone was terrified. As for the burly man, he struggled to stand up, and quickly took out some medicinal pills to stop the injuries on his body. Then he said fiercely, "Good boy, I'll remember you. However, this matter isn't over yet. Let's wait and see." With a cold snort, the burly man was supported by a few kings, and was about to leave. However, at this moment Lin Xian sneered, "Stop right there. Did I say you could leave?" Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. However, the burly man and the others turned around abruptly. "What did you say? How dare you stop me?" The burly man's face was ferocious. "Kid, let me tell you, I'm from the Zhao family." "What? The Zhao family?" Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They did not expect this pirate group to be from the Zhao family. Is the Zhao family very powerful? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. They're all right. In the Dashuan Empire, they can be considered a powerful force, Fatty Luo said slowly. I see. Lin Xian nodded. At this moment, the burly man in front of him sneered again. How is it, kid? Are you afraid? Let me tell you, you're dead for daring to offend the Zhao family. Kneel down, kowtow to me, and give me these 3 chicks. If you do, I'll consider leaving your corpse intact. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a burial ground. You talk too much. Lin Xian snorted. I don't care which family you are. If you dare to cross my line, you'll have to pay the price. Break one of your arms and I'll let you leave. Lin Xian's voice rang out. What? Break one of your arms? Hearing this, everyone was shocked and could not believe it. Iron Fist and the others had already revealed their identity as members of the Zhao family. That was an extremely powerful trump card. However, the other party was still unwilling to give up. Was he not afraid of the Zhao family's revenge? Or did he think that he could compete with the Zhao family? Break one of your arms. Kid, dream on. Just you wait. When I return to my family, it'll be the time of your death. Iron Fist sneered and turned to leave. Beside him, the pirates also sneered. Obviously, they did not take Lin Xian's warning to heart. Stubborn. Since it's like this, I'll have to do it myself. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Xian's figure suddenly disappeared and rushed toward Iron Fist and the others. Kid, you're courting death. Seeing this, the burly man and the others were furious. The other party actually dared to attack. How dare he? With a roar, Iron Fist displayed a Silver King's domain. The other one-star kings also pulled out their swords and sabers. At the same time, King's domains quickly formed around them. However, Lin Xian was like a ghost as he instantly appeared around them. What? So fast? Everyone was shocked. They did not see how Lin Xian appeared. Moreover, what was even more shocking was that Iron Fist and the others' king's domains did not affect Lin Xian at all. Crack! The sound of bones breaking was heard, followed by a few screams and blood spurting out. In the next moment, Iron Fist and the others were all sent flying. However, there were many more arms on the ground. Iron Fist fell to the ground, holding his broken arm and roaring ferociously. Until now, he still could not believe that Lin Xian had cut off his right arm. Not only him, but all the people he brought with him also had an arm cut off. How did Lin Xian do it? How could he ignore his Silver King's domain? When everyone saw this scene, they were so shocked that they couldn't even say a word. Powerful. He was too powerful. He did not give them any leeway at all. This is a lesson for you. If there's a next time, he'll kill you. Get out of here. Lin Xian turned around and walked into the restaurant. As for Iron Fist and the others, their faces were filled with fear as they quickly left. Although they were mad and furious, they did not dare to say anything, because they were really afraid that Lin Xian would kill them. Lin Xian returned to the restaurant's main hall. For a moment, everyone was terrified. The entire hall was silent. Chapter 1510. For a moment, everyone was terrified, and the entire hall was silent. As for the kings who had mocked Lin Xian before, their bodies started to tremble. Fear, incomparable fear. Previously, they had thought that Lin Xian was a country bumpkin, so they had mocked him. Moreover, they didn't think that Lin Xian was that powerful. But now, they realized that they were completely wrong. Although the other party was only a 1-star king realm, his strength was even stronger than a 2-star king realm. This was definitely a ferocious person, who they could not afford to offend. Therefore, the 3 1-star kings quickly got up and ran outside. They didn't dare to stay here any longer. Seeing that the 3 of them were about to escape, Lin Xian lightly snorted. Immediately, the 3 of them stiffened, and their faces revealed expressions that were uglier than crying. We have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. We have committed many sins in the past. Please be magnanimous, and don't hold it against us. Yes, we were wrong. I apologize to you. The attitude of the 3 1-star kings was extremely humble, and they were no longer as arrogant as before. This is a very realistic world. If you don't have power, you will be bullied and laughed at. If you displayed great power, you would immediately gain respect, status. This was the principle of the entire world. Whether it was the martial heaven continent or the true spirit world, it was the same. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. You're wrong. I don't hold grudges because I usually take revenge on the spot. Spare us. Hearing this, the 3 of them cried, almost kneeling down. Lin Xian picked up a bowl of 4-beast soup from the table and walked towards the 3 of them. I won't make things difficult for you. If each of you takes a big gulp, I'll let you leave. What? Take a big gulp? The 3 of them even had the heart to die. This was the 4-beast soup, and its energy was incomparably terrifying. If they drank a big mouthful, they definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the power. However, if they didn't drink it, the result would be even worse. Thinking up to this point, the 3 of them were so regretful that their intestines turned green. Why did they have to be so mean before? Why did they have to mock the other party? Now that they had fallen to such a state, they deserved it. Bracing themselves, the 3 of them each drank a big mouthful of the 4-beast soup. Immediately, their skin turned red, and a violent force rampaged through their bodies, as if it was about to explode. Among them, the weaker one directly vomited blood. The other 2 had incomparably ugly expressions, as they quickly suppressed the energy in their bodies. Then, the 3 of them struggled to walk out of the door. However, it didn't take long for the other 2 to suddenly spit out a mouthful of blood. Terrifying, too terrifying. The energy contained within was not something they could withstand. Indeed, if an ordinary 1-star king ordered a bowl of 4-beast soup, they would have to drink it for at least a day. If it was weaker, it would take 2 or 3 days to completely digest it. As for the 3 of them, they probably couldn't refine a third of the energy. Lin Xian shook his head. Isn't it just a mouthful of soup? Is there a need for this? How fragile. Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. In the next moment, they widened their eyes because Lin Xian picked up another bowl of 4-beast soup and drank it in one gulp. Probably not even a 2-star king would dare to drink it in one gulp. Only a 3-star king would dare to do so. However, the young man in front of them was so bold that he directly drank the entire bowl. Lin Xian felt as if he wasn't drinking soup, but a volcano that was about to erupt. The aura in his body quickly boiled. With a loud laugh, Lin Xian quickly used the longevity incantation, displaying an extremely powerful absorption ability. Soon, the violent energy was completely refined by the longevity incantation and turned into his spiritual energy. So satisfying. Lin Xian felt a wave of comfort. Brother, you're so powerful. You really hid your strength well. Even I was almost fooled by you. Fatty Lua was also surprised. Brother, where on earth are you from? Which island could have such a strong person like you? Why do I feel like you're a disciple from a sacred ground, or a clan of the ancients? If that's what you think, then so be it. Lin Xian smiled. He wouldn't admit to any of his identities, because the more fog around him,
the safer he would be. "Oh right, Fatty Luo, tell me about the pill sect," Lin Xian asked. Hearing this, the corners of Fatty Luo's mouth twitched. "Brother, how do you know my nickname? Is it that hard to guess? I can tell just by looking at your face." Lin Xian shrugged. Fatty Luo wanted to cry but had no tears. The three bodyguards behind him also twitched their mouths, while Morong Qingqing and the others covered their mouths and chuckled. This smile was like 100 flowers blooming, directly melting the frozen atmosphere. Everyone's eyes were fixed on him. However, this time, they didn't dare to be impudent. They all sat upright and still, looking straight ahead. They didn't dare to look in Lin Xian's direction at all. Seeing this scene, Morong Qingqing and the others laughed loudly. They looked at Lin Xian with eyes full of tenderness. Fatty Luo asked, "Brother, why are you asking about the pill sect? Don't tell me you have a grudge with the pill sect. No, you're thinking too much. I want to join the pill sect, and am asking if you have a way." "Join the pill sect?" Fatty Luo was stunned. "Are you an alchemist? What, don't I look like one?" Lin Xian asked back. "I really can't see it. Brother, if you really want to join the pill sect, I do have a way." "Let's hear it." This Great Wind restaurant has 3 floors. The first floor is just an ordinary floor. Normally, powerful kings won't be here. They'll go to the second floor. Above this floor is the 3rd floor. That's a place only geniuses can go. Today, there's a small gathering on the 3rd floor, and there's a pill sect disciple among them. Do you want me to introduce you? There's a pill sect disciple on the 3rd floor. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He didn't expect to meet someone from the pill sect as soon as he arrived in the Dashuan Empire. It seemed like his luck wasn't bad. "Okay, let's go take a look." Lin Xian didn't hesitate. He immediately stood up and led Morong Qingqing and the others to the 3rd floor with Fatty Luo. "Brother, don't blame me for not reminding you. The 3rd floor isn't a place ordinary people can enter. Either you have status, or you have strength." "What strength?" Lin Xian asked. "At least a mid-stage 2-star king. There are even late-stage 2-star king existences." Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Although it was only a difference of a few words, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. This was because the king realm was too terrifying. Every increase in strength would cause an earth-shattering change. It could be said that cultivators of the same level had vastly different strengths. Moreover, a late-stage 2-star king was at least at the level of the heavenly netherbird. Chapter 15:11. With Hei-Tu's guidance and the various resources on the Black Terra, as well as cultivation techniques and secret manuals, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds during this year's cultivation. Now he had an unimaginable number of secret techniques in his hands. Coupled with the Great Dragon Sword Soul's super strong combat power, Lin Xian could defeat anyone below the level of a 3-star king. As for a 3-star king, he had the power to fight. Therefore, even after hearing Fatty Luo's reminder, he didn't hesitate and walked up. More than half of the people on the 2nd floor were gone, and even fewer people were on the 3rd floor. It was quiet without a single shadow. Not only that, but there was also a cold middle-aged man standing on the stairs to the 3rd floor. His figure was as tall as a mountain blocking the path. The black-clothed martial artist glanced coldly at Lin Xian, and the others then frowned. "Those who have no business here, leave at once. The 3rd floor is not for you to go up." He naturally saw the cultivation of Lin Xian and the others. They were only 1-star kings. They couldn't even go up to the 2nd floor with their strength, let alone the 3rd floor. What a joke. "How dare you?" Hearing the black-clothed martial artist's rebuke, a 2-star bodyguard stood out from behind Fatty Luo, emitting a powerful aura. "My surname is Luo," Fatty Luo said with a smile. "Luo?" The black-clothed martial artist thought for a long time, but he couldn't remember which major force in the Dashuan Empire had the surname Luo. He was about to refuse, but the 3 2-star bodyguards behind Fatty Luo emitted an extremely powerful aura. Instantly, the black-clothed martial artist's expression changed. 3 2-star martial artists as bodyguards. This wasn't something an ordinary person could do. He was definitely a disciple of a major family. Although he couldn't guess which family he was from,
He guessed that his identity must be extraordinary. Then he nodded slightly. You can go in, but they can't. Then the black-clothed martial artist's gaze landed on Lin Xian, and the others again, and the corners of his mouth curled up coldly. Brother Lin. Fatty Luo turned around and asked. I'll do it myself. Lin Xian nodded slightly and didn't let Fatty Luo and the others attack. Instead, he stepped forward and walked up. Get out! Seeing Lin Xian not retreat but advance instead, the black-clothed martial artist's face sank. Since he was standing here, he was naturally choosing people. The young man before him was only a one-star king realm cultivator, so it was impossible for him to let him go. Thus, in the next moment, he shouted coldly and waved his palm. Suddenly, the void trembled, and a palm blooming with light pushed horizontally in the air. It was like a five-fingered mountain, wanting to crush Lin Xian. Lin Xian focused his gaze and punched out as well. The qi and blood in his body circulated, producing a rumbling sound. His arm was like a huge dragon, surging rapidly. With a punch, the entire void started to tremble. Pung! A deep voice sounded out, and then quickly dissipated. However, the black-clothed warrior's expression changed greatly, and he quickly retreated a few steps. Bang bang bang. Every step he took was on the void, even leaving a black crack in it. Shocking, it was too shocking. He did not expect that his opponent would be able to send him flying with a single punch. How was this possible? His opponent was only a one-star king realm. How could he have such powerful strength? However, no matter how much he did not believe it, the truth was right in front of him. How is it? I'm qualified now, right? Lin Xian asked with a smile. You're very strong. You're qualified to enter. The black-clothed martial artist nodded solemnly. He was a two-star king realm cultivator. Anyone who could defeat him was definitely qualified to enter. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Then he turned around and said, let's go. The group moved forward, but the black-clothed martial artist blocked their way again. You can enter, but they can't. The black-clothed martial artist pointed at Morong Qingcheng and the others behind Lin Xian, and said coldly. Immediately Lin Xian frowned. They are my friends. Naturally, they have to enter with me. No matter who they are, they can't enter. Unless they can defeat me, the black-clothed martial artist said coldly. Hearing this, Morong Qingcheng and the others fell silent. After a year of cultivation, they had already become one-star kings. However, the black-clothed martial artist in front of them was a two-star king realm. Now it was impossible for them to challenge someone of a higher cultivation level. Big brother Lin Xian, forget it. Why don't we wait outside? Shen Jingqiu was a little uneasy. No. Lin Xian shook his head decisively. You are my women. If I can't even bring my own women in, what's the point of cultivating? The next moment, he turned around and looked at the black-clothed martial artist again. I'll give you one last chance. Get out of my way. The black-clothed martial artist's face was also gloomy. He had never been looked down upon like this. Although Lin Xian had forced him back, he was not someone to be trifled with if they really fought. Kid, this is the rule here. You'd better not break it. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The black-clothed martial artist wanted to say something more, but the next moment, his face changed drastically. This was because a green light suddenly appeared on Lin Xian's body and enveloped him instantly. You're courting death. The black-clothed martial artist was furious. A powerful aura surged from his body, and he was about to counterattack. However, the next moment he froze. That terrifying aura also disappeared in an instant. There was nothing he could do. A green domain had completely enveloped him at this moment. Inside, there were countless sharp swords pressed against his throat. As long as he moved, those sharp swords would pierce through his throat. Although he was a two-star king, he was still afraid of death. Drip, drip. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead. The black-clothed martial artist was completely drenched. He was terrified because he did not expect Lin Xian to be able to subdue him in an instant. One had to know that repelling and subduing were different. Repelling meant that Lin Xian had the strength to fight him, but subduing him meant that Lin Xian's strength completely surpassed his. Lin Xian could kill him in an instant. Thinking of this, the black-clothed martial artist was terrified. Lin Xian was clearly only a one-star king, but his combat strength shocked him greatly. Not to mention the black-clothed martial artist. Even Fatty Luo and the 3 two-star bodyguards behind him were shocked. This was because Lin Xian's strength had once again exceeded their expectations. "Can I bring my people in now?" Lin Xian asked coldly. "Yes." The black-clothed martial artist nodded with difficulty. He did not dare to resist because his life was in Lin Xian's hands. "Let's go." Lin Xian turned around and pulled Morong Qingqing and Shen Jingxiu. Then the group of people walked towards the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor had an antique atmosphere and was very quiet. There were very few people here, only 7 or 8. At this moment, everyone's eyes were looking at the staircase. This was because they did not expect that other than them, there would be someone else who could follow them to the 3rd floor. In the next moment, those people were stunned because there were a lot of people on the 3rd floor. One of them was a fatty in a golden robe, followed by 3 black-clothed bodyguards. On the other side was a handsome young man, followed by 3 stunning beauties. Next to him was a red 4-horned snake with a snow-white monkey on top of it. This group was very spectacular. At this moment, everyone on the 3rd floor was stunned. They did not expect so many people to come. Chapter 15:12. At this moment, everyone on the 3rd floor was stunned. They didn't expect there to be so many people here. But soon after, anger appeared on their faces. This was because they'd noticed that many of them were only 1-star kings. They couldn't even reach the 2nd floor. So how could they enter the 3rd floor? Damn it, how is that guy guarding the door? Why did he let in so much trash? Fuck, who are you calling trash? Fatty Luo and the dark red dragon both jumped up. Of course, I'm talking about you guys. You dare to enter the 3rd floor with such strength? Although I don't know how you guys got in, please get out now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. A young man in a blue robe stood up. He was quite handsome, but his eyes were very cold, making people feel uncomfortable. Middle stage 2-star kings, you dare to talk big in front of me with such strength? Fatty Luo snorted disdainfully. Come. I'll teach you how to behave. The dark red dragon gnashed his teeth. He was the same as Lin Xian. His strength couldn't be judged by his cultivation. Lin Xian glanced at the people in front of him, and then revealed a trace of surprise. He found that these people were all very powerful. The weakest among them was a mid-stage 2-star king, and there were a few late-stage 2-star kings. There were even 1 or 2 whose cultivation he couldn't see clearly. Presumably, they were even more powerful. However, so what if their cultivation was powerful? He wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. Since these people dared to provoke him, he naturally had to fight back. How did you get in? Of course, by fighting. Don't you know the rules here? Lin Xian looked around, not backing down at all. Before coming to the true spirit world, he had already understood that this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Moreover, he had personally experienced it these few days. So, in this place, he had to be strong and couldn't show weakness. Because the weak were bullied and looked down upon. Only the strong could make people respect and fear them. So Lin Xian's attitude had been very decisive after coming to the true spirit world. Do you think they can pass? The blue-robed man snorted disdainfully. You'll know whether they can or not when you try. Lin Xian took a step forward, and a fierce aura appeared on his body. So strong. The people on the other side were shocked. They didn't think that Lin Xian could release such a terrifying aura. Although he was only a 1-star king, his strength had most likely surpassed the 1-star king realm and reached the 2-star king realm. Not bad indeed. No wonder you can come up here. At this moment, a cold voice sounded from the front. Lin Xian looked in the direction of the voice and was slightly surprised. It was a graceful figure, sitting there quietly. She was very beautiful, but there was a cold aura around her. It was as if nothing could catch her eye. Even for Lin Xian, she only glanced at him. The woman continued. However, by forcefully bringing them up, you've broken the rules. This is not good for them. Another handsome man in a red robe also spoke. Different strengths have different circles of strength. They haven't reached that level yet, so they aren't qualified to enter this circle. So tell them to leave quickly. The other party's voice was very calm, but there was an irresistible command in it. Lin Xian sneered. Rules are set by people, so they naturally change according to people. There's nothing wrong with this. As for what happens in the future, you don't have to worry about it. Hearing this, the cold woman frowned but didn't say anything. The red-robed man snorted. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Lin Xian's attitude. However, perhaps because of his status, he didn't attack. However, the blue-robed man who had been hooting earlier sneered. Kid, you're too arrogant. This isn't a place for you to be so presumptuous. Is that so? Let's see what right you have to teach me a lesson. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed, and a cold light flashed in them. Then he strode toward the blue-robed man. You dare to attack me? You're courting death. The blue-robed man was furious and quickly counterattacked. The others also frowned. However, they didn't stop him because they also wanted to break Lin Xian's spirit. Kid, you're too arrogant. Today, I'll teach you how to behave properly. The blue-robed man sneered and pointed his finger. Suddenly a blue light surged out. It was extremely terrifying, and quickly pierced toward Lin Xian. This sword chi was ocean blue, and carried a terrifying power. Even an early-stage 2-star king couldn't resist it. Although the blue-robed man was arrogant, his strength was extremely powerful. He had even surpassed the black-robed martial artist who had been guarding the door. Lin Xian, be careful. Morong Qingcheng and the others were concerned. The people on the other side sneered and watched. Lin Xian's expression was calm. He looked at the ocean blue sword chi and quickly attacked. He slowly raised his palm and pushed it out. What? He dares to resist with his bare hands? He's really courting death. Someone on the other side sneered. Although Bai Shan is only a mid-stage 2-star king, his strength is indeed powerful. Especially his true martial sword chi. It's extremely powerful. There are very few opponents in the same realm. This guy dares to resist with his bare hands? He's really courting death. Everyone sneered, thinking that Lin Xian was dead meat. However, in the next moment their expressions froze. Even the cold and haughty woman let out a soft cry of surprise. This was because in Lin Xian's hand, countless green lights surged and flashed rapidly. They formed a green vortex and blasted forward. Suddenly, the true martial sword chi encountered the vortex and quickly disintegrated. It then turned into spiritual chi and was absorbed by the green vortex. What? He broke it. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. Even the blue-clothed youth Bai Shan had a face full of shock. Impossible. How could you break my true martial sword chi? He was too shocked. One should know that his true martial sword chi was a mid-grade earth-class martial art. It was extremely powerful. Very few people in the same realm were his match. However, before he could react, Lin Xian clenched his fist and slashed out a green sword chi. Damn it! Seeing the sword chi, the blue-robed man's expression changed drastically. The pupils of the few people around him shrank. This sword chi was too terrifying. It was much more powerful than the sword chi that the blue-robed man had shot out. Humph! The blue-robed man snorted. With a shake of his hand, he took out an ancient shield to resist. However, this shield was not formed by spiritual chi. It was a treasure. This was a half-step earth-class treasure. Its power was very terrifying. In fact, earth-class treasures were rare in the true spirit world. Although there were more of them than on the Tianwu continent, they were still in the hands of the top forces. However, this half-step earth-class treasure's power was several times stronger than the ones on the Tianwu continent. After all, the martial arts here were very developed. The quality was naturally much better. After summoning the ancient shield, the blue-robed man was obviously relieved. Obviously, he was very confident in his defense. Chapter 1513. That was because Lin Xian's green sword aura had cut his shield in half when it hit him. Then, the sword aura had landed on his body. Fortunately, he was still wearing an inner armor, which blocked the sword chi and prevented him from being cut in half. However, the terrifying power contained in the sword chi still sent him flying. Rumble! The blue-clothed youth was sent flying. What? Bai Shan lost. The surrounding kings were shocked. They didn't expect Bai Shan to be defeated, and in one move at that. Who was his opponent? How could he be so powerful? However, they knew all the prodigies in the Dashuan Empire, and there was no such person. Could he be from another country? They were puzzled and stared at Lin Xian with unfriendly expressions. Two of them were hot-tempered and directly stood up, wanting to attack. At this moment, the aloof woman spoke up. All right, stop fighting. He's right. Rules are set by people. He does have the ability to change the rules. Let's forget about it this time. Hearing this, everyone was even more shocked. They were even more shocked than when they saw Bai Shan lose, because they knew the identity of the cold woman. They didn't expect that even she would speak. These people naturally couldn't attack anymore. Thus, they could only snort coldly. The cold woman raised her head again and looked at Lin Xian. What's your name? Where are you from? Lin Xian. As for where I came from, I'm afraid you wouldn't know even if I told you. Lin Xian. The kings on the other side whispered, clearly wanting to remember this name. At this moment, Fatty Luo also walked up and said with a smile, not fighting anymore? Then let's sit down and have a chat. How about it? Who are you? One of them asked coldly. Obviously, the other party was Lin Xian's companion, so they naturally wouldn't treat him nicely. Fatty Luo said proudly, my surname is Luo. Surname Luo? Lin Xian was also puzzled when he heard this, because this wasn't the first time Fatty Luo said this, but those people before didn't react. In fact, many people were also puzzled this time. This was because they didn't know that the Dashuan Empire had a powerful Luo family. However, the cold woman frowned slightly, and then she seemed to have thought of something. What's your relationship with Luo Badeo? He take a guess, Fatty Luo said with a grin, refusing to answer. However, the expression on his face was one of extreme pride. Seeing this scene, the cold woman's expression became even more serious. As for the surrounding people, they were all shocked. What? Luo Badeo? It can't be right? He can't really be related to Luo Badeo, right? Stop joking. How could such a peerless figure come here? Moreover, he only has a 2-star king tier by his side. His status doesn't match the card game. The group of people discussed animatedly. They were very confused, but Fatty Luo didn't explain at all. Instead, he sat down casually. Afterwards, Lin Xian and the others all sat down. At this moment, Fatty Luo spoke again. I've heard that Fairy Chuya's hands are unparalleled. I wonder if he'll be able to broaden my horizons this time? Oh, you know me? This time, it was the cold woman's turn to be surprised. Of course. Otherwise, why would I be here? Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyebrows twitched. He knew that this cold woman was very likely the alchemy faction disciple. Chuyu nodded slightly. Then, with a flip of her jade-like hand, a few exquisite jade bottles appeared. Inside them was a resplendent liquid. Then, she poured a few drops into the 4-beast soup. Immediately, a rich fragrance quickly wafted out. Not only that, but there was even a sparkling light enveloping it. Fragrant. Is this the exquisite liquid? It's indeed very magical. Fatty Luo was excited. Brother Lin, this exquisite liquid is very special. It's made from 50 types of precious spirit herbs. It's very wonderful when combined with this 4-beast soup. Moreover, the energy contained in it is extremely terrifying. It can even increase the cultivation of a king tier. So magical? Lin Xian was shocked. The others were also envious. However, Chuyu only made 2 bowls and stopped. It was obvious that this exquisite liquid was extremely precious. Even she was not willing to use too much of it. Haha brother, I want stand on ceremony. Fatty Luo was quick to react and snatched a bowl. When the others saw this, they were extremely envious. However, no one dared to snatch it because Fatty Luo's identity was too suspicious. Although they did not believe that Fatty Luo was related to the legendary Luo Badeo, They did not dare to make a move. If it was true, they would be dead. Therefore, they had their eyes on the other bowl. However, in the next moment, the king's faces turned green, because the other bowl was picked up by Lin Xian. You're courting death. How dare you? Kid, put it down. Cold shouts were heard one after another. It was obvious that they had no qualms about Lin Xian. With a cold snort, two people immediately attacked. The auras of these two kings were even more powerful than the man in blue from before. The two of them attacked as fast as lightning without mercy. Immediately, the void trembled and runes flickered. The light quickly enveloped Lin Xian. Scram! Lin Xian shouted coldly and attacked quickly as well. Like an azure dragon emerging from the sea, Lin Xian was extremely powerful. He threw out two consecutive palms and quickly exchanged blows with the two kings. Bang bang! A low sound was heard, causing the void to tremble rapidly. If it were not for the many kings suppressing them, the entire building would have been destroyed. Even so, cracks appeared in the void. Two screams were heard. The two kings who had attacked earlier quickly retreated, their expressions extremely ugly. It was obvious that they had suffered at Lin Jian's hands. Impossible. How can he be so strong? The two kings were bewildered. They looked at Lin Xian and gritted their teeth, but they did not dare to attack again. Just now, the two of them had attacked with all their might. They were only short of using their king domain, but even so, they were unable to defeat Lin Jian. This was unbelievable. After quickly repelling the two kings, Lin Xian looked around and said, "If anyone else is not convinced, you can come out as soon as possible. Otherwise, you won't have a chance." This voice was very confident. "Kid, you're too arrogant. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you can defeat a two-star king. This is not a place where you can be presumptuous." A dignified voice rang out. It was filled with a strong sense of warning and terrifying pressure. As soon as this was said, many kings were shocked. This was because the person who had spoken was a two-star king. Although there was only a difference of one word between the two, the difference in power was like heaven and earth. Judging from the reactions of the middle-stage two-star kings, it was clear how powerful the King Realm Cultivator was. It was a young man in a red robe. He looked coldly at Lin Xian. "Put down that bowl of soup. I won't touch you." Chapter 15-14. Hee with Hai Wuxin, that kid is dead for sure. That's for sure. Hai Wuxin is a late-stage 2-star king. He's terrifyingly strong. No matter how strong that kid is, he won't be able to stop him. Let's see how he's going to die. Daring to oppose us, this is his fate. The kings who had been at a disadvantage before were gloating. It was obvious that they were very confident in this red-robed man. Who are you? You dare to stop me? Lin Xian frowned. Do you think you have the right to get what I want? If you don't like it, you can fight. Don't talk big. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Good. Kid. It seems like you don't know what's good for you. The red-robed Hai Wuxin was truly enraged. In terms of cultivation, I don't want to bully you, but since you don't know what's good for you, I can only suppress you, Hai Wuxin said coldly. You talk too much. Lin Xian sneered. He picked up the bowl of soup and handed it to Morong Qingqing and the others. Try it. It should taste good. Seeing this, Hai Wuxin's face immediately darkened. The other party did not listen to his warning, and even dared to snatch what he wanted in front of everyone. He was courting death. In the next moment he mercilessly attacked. A large blue hand like a star quickly reached out and grabbed at Lin Xian. The blue hand glowed brightly with a terrifying aura. In an instant, cracks appeared in the void around Lin Xian. Horrifying, this was too horrifying. Late-stage 2-star king was far stronger than a mid-stage 2-star king. This power could even easily kill a mid-stage 2-star king. No wonder this Hai Wuxin was so confident. It seemed that he was indeed terrifying. Probably not many people present could subdue him. The surrounding kings paled as they watched this scene, their hearts thumping. On the other hand, Lin Xian's side was abnormally quiet. This was because Lin Xian had already opened his dragon sword domain and enveloped Morong Qingqing and the others. No matter how terrifying the blue hand was, it could not shake his dragon sword domain. Without anything to worry about, Lin Xian no longer hesitated and quickly punched out. This punch caused the space to tremble. His arm was like a dragon as it soared into the sky. It quickly traversed through the void and violently collided with the blue palm. Boom! Instantly, the entire space began to tremble. This terrifying aura caused the surrounding kings to go pale and tremble. Hai Wuxin's expression changed when he felt the power of this punch. Suddenly he roared angrily, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. His aura rose once again. He was going to attack. However, Lin Xian didn't give him a chance. With a low growl, an enormous amount of power gushed out from his body and poured into his fist. Immediately, a dazzling fist emitted a resplendent green light and fiercely punched out. Boom! Boom! Hai Wuxin couldn't take it at all. His blue hand instantly cracked open, and his entire body was sent flying backwards. Blood sprayed into the sky. Time seemed to stop for a moment. Only Hai Wuxin's figure could be seen flying backwards. Everyone was stunned. Even Chu Yu, who had always been cold and aloof, was incomparably shocked. No one had expected Lin Xian to send Hai Wuxin flying with one punch. It had to be known that Hai Wuxin was already a late 2-star king, and his strength was extremely terrifying. The only one here who could confidently defeat him was probably Chu Yu. But now, he had been sent flying by a 1-star king. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, she would not have believed it. How is it? Do I have the right to drink this bowl of soup? Lin Xian's lips curled up. You! Hai Wuxin fell to the ground, trembling in anger. He felt a tightness in his chest, and he couldn't feel his entire arm. That punch just now was too terrifying. It had almost crippled his arm. Hearing Lin Xian's voice, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Shameful, this was too shameful. He was a late-stage 2-star king, but he could not defeat a 1-star king. Furthermore, he had been defeated in front of so many people. This made him have the urge to die. Beside him, Chu Yu's expression was grave. She asked seriously, "Who are you?" Lin Xian smiled. "I told you, my name is Lin Xian." Chu Yu asked, "Which sect are you from?" Lin Xian said, "I'm not from any sect, but I want to join the alchemy sect." Chu Yu was stunned. "What? You want to join the alchemy sect?" To be honest, she was too shocked. Who would have thought that Lin Xian would make such a request? At this moment, Fatty Luo also whispered, "That's right. That's why I brought him here." How is it? Do you think my brother is all right? Morong Qingcheng, Shen Jingxiu, and Luo Bingshan all took small sips of the soup. Then they handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian laughed and took a big gulp. He then said, "Delicious." Chu Yu blinked. She suddenly felt that this youth in front of her was very interesting. Thus she smiled and said, "With your skills, it's too easy to join the alchemy sect. However, I'm very curious. What's the use of learning alchemy at your age? You have to know that as long as you have the strength and money, you can buy any alchemy pill." Lin Xian also smiled. "You're wrong this time. I'm an alchemist." "Oh, you're an alchemist?" Chu Yu was surprised. To be honest, before this, she did not find any signs of Lin Xian being an alchemist. However, she also knew that there were many strange people in the true spirit world. It was not impossible for him to be an alchemist. However, since he was an alchemist, he definitely had a master's inheritance. But why did he want to join the alchemy sect? This made her have no choice but to be suspicious, and she even secretly became vigilant in her heart. "Give me a reason," Chu Yu asked. Lin Xian smiled and said, "It's very simple. Although I'm an alchemist, I'm not invincible. The alchemy sect has something I want. For example, better alchemy recipes and better resources." What he said was not wrong, but it was not his main goal. His main goal was to fulfill King Pillfeather's wish. Of course, he would not say this, because he did not know how many enemies King Pillfeather had. All of this would have to wait until he joined the alchemy sect. After hearing Lin Xian's words, Chu Yu pondered and did not say anything. As for the others, it was even more impossible for them to say anything, because Lin Xian's strength had already stunned all of them. For a moment, the entire third floor was silent. Even the air was a little stuffy. There was only the sound of Fatty Luo drinking his soup happily, and the crimson dragon and the snow-white monkey fighting over it. Chu Yu thought for a moment and said, "I can indeed recommend you to join the alchemy sect, but I have a condition." Chapter 15:15. Chu Yu thought for a moment then said, "I can indeed recommend you to join the pill sect, but I have a condition." Lin Xian asked, "Oh, condition? What condition?" "Do me a favor. There's a martial arts competition in the Dashuan Empire soon, and I want you to participate." Lin Xian was puzzled. "Participate in the martial arts competition?" Chu Yu said, "Yes, participate in the martial arts competition. Actually, I called these people here for the same reason. This martial arts competition in the Dashuan Empire concerns the distribution of strength among the princes and princesses. As Princess Kai Dai's good friend, I naturally have to help her recruit some geniuses to participate. They're all candidates, and Hai Wuxin is one of them that I've taken a fancy to. But I didn't expect him to be so weak and lose to you in one move." At this point, Chu Yu coldly glanced at Hai Wuxin. Hai Wuxin's face instantly darkened, and he wished he could find a hole to hide in. "Since you defeated him and displayed such strength, you're a suitable candidate. If you can agree to my condition and fight for Princess Kai Dai, it'll help you apply to join the pill sect. Believe me, with my strength, I can definitely make you join the pill sect. However, it all depends on your performance." Lin Xian shrugged. "Participate in the martial arts competition? That simple? I thought it was something else. Okay, I agree to your condition. Although your strength is beyond my expectations, I still have to remind you that there are countless experts in the Dashuan Empire, and there are many geniuses in the younger generation. There are even many three-star kings participating, so you better be careful." "I know." Lin Xian nodded. Then Lin Xian and the others left, because had already asked. The martial arts competition in the Dashuan Empire would be held in the Imperial City. There was still more than a month left, so Lin Xian planned to immediately leave for the Dashuan Empire's Imperial City. Fatty Luo came out as well. He looked at Lin Xian and said with a smile, "Hehe, brother. I didn't expect that we would end up together again." Lin Xian asked curiously, "Why? Are you also participating in this martial arts conference?" "It is indeed related to the martial arts conference, but I am not here to participate in the martial arts conference. I am here for another matter." "What is it?" "Of course it's to open a gambling house. An opportunity like the martial arts competition is naturally a good opportunity to make money. Fatty Luo smiled. But I'm going to see another old friend right now, so I can't go to the Imperial City with you. Don't worry about it. Go do what you need to do, Lin Xian said. Then I'll see you in the Imperial City, Fatty Luo said with a smile. But then he reminded him in a low voice. Brother, let me give you a piece of advice. The 3 women you brought are really too eye-catching. It's fine if you're from the younger generation, but if you're targeted by some old monster, it'll be hard for you to escape. If you really came from overseas, why don't you let them join a sect? That way their safety will be protected. There are many places in the Dashuan Empire with training halls set up by the major sections. You can test a warrior's aptitude there. Why don't you go there and give it a try? That's good too. Lin Xian nodded. This matter really needed to be considered, because he would join the alchemy sect next. Morong Qingcheng and the others were not alchemists, so it was obviously impossible for them to join the alchemy sect. He had to arrange a place for them to go, so that he could do other things with ease. Morong Qingcheng, Shen Jingqiu, and the others naturally knew about this matter, so they all nodded in agreement. The group bid farewell to Fatty Luo and quickly set off. Lin Xian and the others set off for the Imperial City. However, on the way, they had to go to Tsangyue City first. This was because there was a training hall there that could test a warrior's aptitude. It was a good opportunity for Morong Qingcheng and the others to test themselves, so that they could join a good sect. Not long after Lin Xian and the others left, the Zhao family also received the news. This was because the Zhao family was behind the Iron Fist pirate crew. Lin Xian had crippled all the kings of the Iron Fist pirate crew in public, so the Zhao family was naturally furious. They sent experts to capture Lin Xian and the others, but they didn't expect Lin Xian and the others to leave in advance. The Zhao family experts were furious that they didn't catch them, but they wouldn't give up and still quickly chased after them. Since they dared to provoke the Zhao family, they had to tear them into pieces. This time, the Zhao family sent a total of 3 late-stage 2-star kings. In addition, there were many mid-stage 2-star and 1-star kings. It was very terrifying. It seemed like the Zhao family was determined to kill Lin Xian and the others. They quickly gathered information and finally confirmed that Lin Xian and the others were heading to Tsangyue City. Immediately, the 3 late-stage 2-star kings sneered. No matter where you run to, you can't escape from the Zhao family. Let's go to Tsangyue City and kill that kid. Then, the Zhao family kings quickly flew to Tsangyue City. Tsangyue City was very prosperous and had many warriors because of the Tsangyue training hall. This training hall could test a warrior's aptitude, and the results of the test would be sent to the various sections. Once an outstanding genius was discovered, the various sects and forces would send people to receive them. It could be said that this was a very good method to select geniuses. This method also provided many talented warriors to the various sects and forces. It was said that there were even people who passed this test and entered the legendary sacred grounds. Of course, that was a long time ago. In the past few hundred years, there weren't many people in the Tsangyue training hall who could enter the sacred grounds. The best ones could only enter the affiliated sects of the sacred grounds. However, this didn't affect everyone's enthusiasm. Lin Xian and the others landed in Tsangyue City and rushed to the Tsangyue Plaza. Hey Tu, which sects do you think they can enter? Lin Xian asked. He had already put away the Black Earth ship, but Hey Tu had turned into a small dagger and was inserted into his hair like a hairpin. Hearing the voice transmission, Hey Tu slowly said, It's hard to say. I haven't tested them, but at least it's an affiliated sect of the sacred grounds. As for whether they can enter the sacred grounds, it will depend on their luck. Hearing Hey Tu's voice transmission, Lin Xian nodded. Not bad, it was better than expected. Even if he went to the alchemy sect in the future, it would only be an affiliated sect of the sacred grounds. With Morong Qingqing and Shen Jingqi's bloodline power, the sect they entered wouldn't be any worse than the alchemy sect. The arrival of Lin Xian and the others caused quite a stir. After all, the effect of beauties was too shocking. Many people looked at Morong Qingqing and the others and drooled. There were even a few who thought they were more handsome and wanted to strike up a conversation. However, they were scared away by Lin Xian. Chapter 15-16. The group stopped at the Tsangyue Plaza, but they did not immediately go up to test their aptitude, because they did not know how to do the test. In the Tianwu continent, there had never been such a thing. But after looking for a while they understood. The test was very simple. There were a few colorful light pillars in front of them. As long as they placed their hands on them, they would activate the colorful light pillars. The colorful light pillars were divided into 10 areas. The more light one activated, the higher the talent. As for the theory behind it, Lin Xian and the rest did not know. But according to He Tu's introduction, these light pillars were created by the sacred land. After looking for a while, Lin Xian realized that the Dashuan Empire was not as terrifying as he had imagined. Although there were many kings and geniuses, there were probably no peerless geniuses. This was normal. Even if there were, they would have been taken away by the great sage land. They were the true overlords of the true spirit world. Buzz, a young man in his 20s, walked up and activated the light pillars. He only emitted 5 rays of light. Immediately the crowd cried out in surprise, because this was already considered a very good genius. Ordinary warriors could only activate 2 or 3 rays of light. As for the better geniuses, they could only activate 3 or 4 rays. Activating 5 rays of light could be considered good among the geniuses. Soon, the young man in his 20s stood to the side excitedly. He knew that someone would definitely come to pick him up. After him, another girl around the age of 18 or 19 stepped forward. This young girl had a delicate face and willowy eyebrows. As she walked, she carried a fragrance. Her delicate hands were placed on the light pillars. Then 7 rays of light lit up. Heavens, are my eyes playing tricks on me? She actually activated 7 rays of light. Genius, this is a top genius. It has been a long time since such a genius appeared. She can definitely enter one of the sacred land's subsidiary sects. At this moment, countless warriors were gathered in the Tsangyue Plaza. When they saw this scene, they all cried out in surprise and looked at the beautiful young girl with envy. The young girl also raised her delicate little face, her expression filled with arrogance. He was like a little princess, surrounded by countless young martial artists. There was no helping it. This was too shocking. 5 rays of light was already considered a very good genius. 7 rays of light was definitely a top genius. She could definitely enter a subsidiary sect. But to enter the sacred land, she was still far from it. It was said that one would need at least 10 rays of light to enter the Holy Land. However, this was too difficult. Not to mention 10 rays of light, even 8 rays of light were rarely seen. Therefore, the fact that the young girl was able to produce 7 rays of light was already a very impressive feat. After that girl, many other warriors went to take the test. However, there were no more shocking geniuses. The best one was only able to light up 6 rays of light. Seeing this scene, the girl from before became even more complacent. She raised her chin high, as if she didn't put anyone in her eyes. Qingqing, go and give it a try. At this moment, Lin Xian said with a smile. Okay. Morong Qingqing smiled and nodded. She then let go of Lin Xian's hand and walked forward. Instantly, everyone's attention was drawn to her. It couldn't be helped. Morong Qingqing was too beautiful. Her graceful figure, beautiful face, and temperament made her seem like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Nothing could be more beautiful. The girl from before was also very beautiful, but compared to Morong Qingqing, she paled in comparison. She's so beautiful. Who is she? Since when did the Dashuan Empire have such a beauty? Why didn't I know about her? Damn, she's too beautiful. Not to mention her talent. Just her beauty alone is unparalleled in the world. Exclamations were heard. The eyes of the male warriors lit up. Even some of the female warriors were amazed. However, the arrogant girl from before snorted coldly. She was extremely displeased. She was originally the pride of the heavens, and the focus of everyone's attention. However, with Morong Qingqing's appearance, everyone's attention was snatched away. No one was paying attention to her. Everyone's attention was on Morong Qingcheng. How could the arrogant girl stand this? However, although her expression was ugly, she had to admit that the other party was too beautiful. She couldn't compare to her in terms of looks. She could only grit her teeth and snorted softly. Humph. Just a vase. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Morong Qingcheng slowly walked to the light pillar in front of her. Then, she placed her delicate little hand on the light pillar. Everyone held their breaths and watched carefully. Even Lin Xian could not help but feel nervous. That was because this test would determine which faction Morong Qingcheng would eventually enter. The light pillar in front of her reacted and flashed rapidly. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light beams. Soon 5 light beams lit up. 5 light beams. That's not bad. She's already considered a very good genius. That's right. Coupled with her beauty, her status will definitely increase greatly if she enters the faction. Many people were discussing animatedly. Meanwhile, the arrogant girl from before snorted softly. Her eyes were full of disdain. 5 light beams. 2 light beams were lower than hers, which meant that the other party's talent was inferior to hers. So what if she's beautiful? Her talent is inferior to mine. It's useless, the arrogant girl said proudly. However, in the next moment she was stunned. She even widened her eyes in disbelief. That was because after the 5 light beams in front of her, the 6th light beam did not disappear. What? There's more. Everyone was shocked. They looked in front of them in disbelief. 6 light beams. She was already considered a top genius. They did not expect that the beautiful girl would have such good talent. However, in the next moment, they screamed again because they saw the 7th light beam. Heavens, what did I see? The 7th light beam. Another top genius with 7 light beams. Shocking, it was too shocking. That beautiful girl's talent was actually so high. She was a genius. Not only was she beautiful, but her talent was also top-notch. Exclamations sounded one after another. Everyone looked in front of them enviously. Obviously, 7 light beams were already considered a top genius. With such talent, she could still enter the affiliated faction of the sacred ground. Everyone exclaimed. Meanwhile, the arrogant girl from before gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with malice. Damn it, how is that possible? How could she have triggered 7 light beams? Cheating. She must be cheating. The arrogant girl was really angry. Previously, she had said that the other party was a flower vase. Now the other party had triggered 7 light beams. The other party's talent was the same as hers. Wasn't that a slap to her face? Moreover, what made her even angrier was that the other party was prettier than her. As a woman, she absolutely could not tolerate that. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.